And welcome to
Let's Talk About Book,
where we talk about
book.
And we're continuing
Blackflame. Yes, the Cradle series, book 3 of the Cradle series, Blackflame.
All I could think of was Serpent's Grave. Because we were just saying that, but that's not the name of this book.
It is where we are at.
It is where we are at in these next chapters.
Yeah.
But, because like this first chapter that we get to is us like getting to Serpent's Grave.
Yep.
So, yeah. But it's Blackflame.
Yes.
It's Will Wight.
Yep.
It's Cradle. And I'm Smeevca.
And I'm Strawberry.
Yeah.
And it's chapters 8 through
15.
15.
Yes. So it's 8 chapters, right?
Yeah.
Yep. I can count. But yeah, so I guess it's,
Yeah, get into the chapter time.
Get into the chapter time.
I don't think there's a lot of intro stuff today.
Yeah, I don't think there's a lot of intro stuff today. I still, expect there to be intro stuff. I'm like, it's like, we got to do the epigraphs, but we don't have the epigraphs anymore. And I need to remember that. But, yeah. I guess, do the YouTube things.
Yeah.
Liking and the commenting and subscribing. But I was thinking recently, what you should do is you should share. You should, if you're enjoying, share it with other people in other places. It feels weird to go into a subreddit or something,
right,
and just
this is something we're doing.
This is something we're doing. But if you wanted to, go into the fucking Cradle Reddit and be like, wow, I'm really liking this podcast. I mean, we can't stop you. So yeah. But yeah, we're doing 8 chapters.
Yeah.
Because how many chapters are there? Because it's
I think there's 22 in this book.
Yeah, it's 22. So it's we did 7 chapters last time, 8 chapters, and then 7
next
again.
Time. Yeah.
So. Yeah, because when we were reading, actually, we did 7, and then I was like, I want to listen to one more chapter.
Yep.
So this has been good. I've been enjoying it, and so yeah, now we can get into it.
Yeah.
Alrighty, chapter 8, and last time we were this is still part of the section that we read before.
Yeah.
Because, the last episode was going to be a big, long one, and then we, cut it down.
Yeah, so these first few chapters, it's actually been a little bit since we've read them.
Yes. And
through chapter 11.
Yeah, and some of the stuff that we talk about in the previous episode was, in reference to some of these chapters.
Yeah.
Because, we didn't know that we were splitting it at first, and so it's but we're here now.
Yeah.
and then so it's we're doing those, and then there'll be, a few extra chapters that we read.
Yes.
To make this one, a proper...
A full episode,
full episode.
Yeah, we read a few extra.
Yep. So, yeah.
Yeah.
And in this chapter, we get to our destination.
Yeah, we finally get to Serpent's Grave.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a Serpent's Grave. It is a whole bunch of these giant dragon skeletons.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's one full one or something like that, or a few full ones. And then some just big pieces and stuff that are all hollowed out and have homes and all sorts of stuff in.
I think I have a hard time imagining the sheer size of them.
Yeah.
Because it's they're literally hollowed into the bone.
Into the bone.
Because in my head it's we're inside the rib cage or the skull or something.
Yeah.
In the cavities,
in the cavities.
Of it.
Yeah. I think it's actually hollowed out into the
bone, and that's a hard thing to sort of
it's huge. They're huge.
Yeah, to
and they're on this huge mountain and stuff. They're all around it. And
trying to immediately visualize this what? But
yeah. This is one of my favorite early locations in the Cradle series. I love just the concept of these giant dragon bones that people
live inside of,
settled in and stuff, just because it's this big area that they can hollow out and stuff.
Yep. Yeah. And this is part of the Blackflame Empire proper.
Yes, this is part of the Blackflame Empire.
Yeah.
Because then we once we see it and stuff.
Because then we get a little bit of a certain technically. The area the wilds or whatever that it just came from. It's that's technically part of the empire, but no one's actually
Yeah, no, the Desolate Wilds and then through to Sacred Valley and stuff. Most people don't even know about Sacred Valley. But it's It's all
no one send a taxman out to the Two Rivers.
Exactly. It's exactly.
The Two Rivers is technically part of Andor, but like, is it?
Right. If you ask anyone in that area, like, what do you mean? But they, like, at least in like the Desolate Wilds, they have some connection to the Blackflame Empire because like they have like some of those families that are connected to Blackflame Empire proper.
Yeah, because it's like the Sand Vipers are like under
the Jai
family
are part of the Blackflame Empire.
Yep.
They're like a higher up family.
Yep, because we actually get to meet Jai Daisho.
Yes, we do.
Who's like the patriarch of the Jai family, right?
Yeah. Yeah, after, like, Ethan meets with a bunch of his family, and stuff, which I really like. There's, like, a kind of whole scene where he, like, takes charge and stuff, and Cassie's, like, shocked, kind of with how, like, it's like, oh, you're acting like a patriarch, and he's like, well, that's what they need right now. He's like, they don't need a friend right now, they need someone in control.
Right. Like, when it gets to, like, important, like, I can do what I have to when I, like, need to.
But yeah,
it's just sometimes my view of what's important is different than yours.
Yeah, and so then he sends Cassius off to, like, meet with his family, and so because his family lives in Serpent's Grave, and then they're kind of ambushed by Jai Daisho.
Yeah.
He goes and talks to him.
Yep.
And
he does some, like, weird, like, almost feels like gravity shit.
Yeah, he
does some fucking Fujitora shit to everyone in the room because Ethan, like, kind of insults him or whatever.
Yes. Let me.
Because Jai Daisho is also an although he
is an underlord.
I'm still suspicious that fucking Ethan is more than underlord.
Got you.
Because he does the whole thing, and Ethan's also like affected by it. But then once it's done, he's like, I'm just playing.
Yeah. I love this. Like, he's introducing Yaren and Lyndon to Jai Daisho. He goes, this is Yaren, the top-ranked student of the Outer Family, and Lyndon, the second-ranked. I ranked them myself.
Lyndon,
Yaren, this is Jai Daisho, the 7th Underlord of the Blackflame Empire.
Yeah, because everything's ranked in the Blackflame Empire.
And Ethan is ranked 11th Underlord in the Blackflame Empire, I believe.
Yeah. So Jai Daisho is supposed to be, like, higher than him and, like, stronger than him.
Yeah.
But Ethan sort of, like, says that he's like, oh, I'm just keeping a low profile, essentially.
Yeah.
Or sort of, like, implies some things. Because he's, like, he kind of insults Jai Daisho, or is, like, being his normal, like, Ethan...
Right. Yeah, because Jai Daisho's coming up and he's like, your family's, like, underperforming and all of this, like, because of the stuff with Crawl and Jai Long and, like, all of that, is, like, trying to antagonize him.
Yeah.
And Ethan is like, I'm pleased with my family, or, like, all of that. And then he does, like, insult him by, I think, leaving the conversation early, like, without...
Yeah, by just being like, I'm done with this.
Yeah. Yeah, he starts, like, dragging them away or whatever. Oh, no, he also... Yeah, here it is. Okay. An Underlord should have higher standards. Really? I've always thought my standards were too high. Well, let me know if the Aurelius family can help you defend your territory in the upcoming days. Jai Long can be quite a threat, unless, of course, you intend to take action yourself. That sounded to Lyndon like the only genuinely pleasant comment Ethan had made over the whole exchange, but he's pissed.
Yeah.
And he's like, the High Golds are more capable with dealing with an exile. I'm relieved to hear it. I knew you wouldn't be forced into action by a single High Gold.
Yeah.
So he's just giving, like, sniping compliments.
Yes.
and then he's like, nice to see you. Like, I'll come and pay you a visit later. And then just, like, leaves without being, like...
Yeah.
Dismissed, or just, like, without any
without the proper sort of, like, courtesy or whatever. He's just like, all right, bye.
Yeah, and then the Jai Patriarch folded his hands behind his back again. Then suddenly, Lyndon's body weighed 5 times as much. And so then they're all, like...
kind of, like, being, like, pressed down by it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then even Ethan's knees were bent, his hands held out for balance, his smile gone, the strain showed on his face.
Yeah.
So it's like, we actually see, like, affecting him, but then as soon as it's, like, over, he's just, like, back to his normal self.
Yep.
And he's just like, it's nothing, really.
Like, so, he staggers to his feet and stuff, and then Jai Daisho leaves, and then as soon as he rounds the corner, Ethan stands up, brushes himself off, and is like... You know.
Yep.
It's too late to save face. You were hauling like a plow horse. I wasn't I? Well, maybe I've provoked too strong of an opponent this time. He didn't sound too concerned about the possibility.
Yep. He's just like totally like unbothered.
Yep.
And he, I don't know. In this exchange, I get this impression that he's like just kind of like messing around.
Yeah.
Almost like, I don't know. I feel like he's just like keeping a low profile in the sense of it's like, oh yeah, I'm only 11th. Don't worry about it.
Right.
Like,
Don't pay attention to me.
Oh yeah, you're definitely stronger than me.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I'm still just like, Ethan's stronger than we think he is or some shit.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just get the vibe.
I like it.
I'm like, he's hiding some bullshit. He's the patriarch. He's watching over the family from beyond that shit that he was saying before.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, they say that our earliest patriarch, you know, the original,
founder. The founder.
The founder can, you know, watch over
even beyond the grave.
Even beyond the grave. And I'm like, he's saying that because it's him. Because he's being cheeky. Because he's always cheeky. He's always a little shit like that.
Ethan would pull some shit like that.
Yep, so I'm just like, it's,
Yeah, I love it.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, is there any other sort of, like, big important things about coming to Serpent's Grave and whatnot?
They get Gesha settled in and stuff, and, and I think Ethan just says, like, he gives Yaren something or whatever for, like, cycling or whatever, and then is like, Lyndon, we're going to the library, to the Aurelius Library.
Yeah.
And stuff. And then we get a brief little bit of Jai Long arriving at Serpent's Grave. Because this was his old home, so, like, him and Jai Chan are kind of, like, reminiscing a little bit.
Yeah,
but, like, not in the best way. Like, they don't have great memories of here.
Right.
So, like, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, we're here, he said, and she lit up. He scooped her out of the tent, pretending not to hear her protest that her hair wasn't straight. She had suffered the indignities of travel without protest, and now he carried her to look out over the desert, into the sun, which rose behind a black mountain, at the city of Dragonbone. This was her first glance of Serpent's Grave in almost 10 years, and she covered her mouth and teared up at the sight. Their parents lived in the city somewhere, as did their brothers and sisters. Behind his mask of bandages, he smiled too, for a very different reason.
Yeah. Oh, we saw... You were showing me there's like a webtoon, kind of like a comic, like one of those like long scrolly kind of ones.
I believe like Will Wight and stuff actually got it commissioned.
Right.
It's like they're like semi-official, not. But he commissioned it.
Yeah.
Of like I think all but the last book. I believe.
Yeah.
Is all in that thing. So I showed you up until where we had gotten.
Right, and it was very fun.
Yeah.
I enjoyed. You know, it's very like.
It's very like recap. It like.
Yeah, it's just sort of like, just like highlights and stuff.
Yeah.
But getting to like see some like character designs for the characters was very interesting because like. We do always get this description of Jai Long being like wrapped up in the bandages and stuff, but actually like seeing him, it was very different from what I imagined.
Yeah.
I think because like I guess I just assumed that it wasn't like because I still just like imagined that there was like hair.
Oh yeah.
Or something that like it was like around
out just like his face, but not his like forehead.
And I think in my head, even though they always say bandages, in my head I thought mask.
Oh, okay.
Even though, like, they say bandages. They say it plenty of times. But in my head, I'm like, he's got maybe, like, a hood, and he's,
like... You know, just like, face covered.
Just face covered, and I'm like... I'm like... He looks more, like, bald.
Yeah. With full wrapped up.
Full wrapped up, which, like, makes sense. But it's just like, oh, that's... Okay. But I do love seeing Yaren... And her like bowl, her like straight,
like straight cuts.
It's very cute.
Yeah.
And there's a really funny bit where it's like a little recap of like Yaren saying like talking about like so how do you become copper? It's like you gotta just squeeze it.
Yeah.
And
then it's just like Lyndon's face, just like
so like a perfect little like. Lyndon, derp. Yes, a little derp, a little Lyndon, like, emoji, just, like, a little smiling Lyndon emoji face surrounded by question marks.
We'll try and put it on, like, either community post or wherever we can try and put
like
it.
The community tab.
We'll try and put it there, because it's great.
It's so funny. It's just, like, it's so cute, and it's so funny, and it's my favorite thing. I just, like, see it and giggle. It's so good. I'm just like, huh?
Yeah.
What? Just a perfect little... What? Man.
I love the art in that.
Yeah, it's very good.
It's so cool.
And I'm like, I'd love to like see just like,
I think I'm gonna continue to show you
as we like go through and stuff.
The dogs are being real crazy, so I'm gonna go try and get them in.
They've been such menaces. They just like have been in and out so much. And I mean, partially it's like we let them out and then they're like barking at like other stuff, and so we're like, stop it, and so we have them like come inside. But then they're like, well, no, we still want to be outside, so they're just like in and out constantly. And it's like, well, if y'all could be outside and stay outside for longer, if you just didn't bark and cause trouble. But instead, they choose to bark and cause trouble, so we let them in, and then they immediately start begging to go back outside.
Now they can bark inside.
Yeah.
Until we let them out again.
Yeah, because you know that they're immediately about to start, like, climbing on top of us, being like, but we want to be outside.
Holly's sniffing and, like, licking Tilly's face.
Yeah. What you doing, bud?
I think my hands smell like treats, so they're, like, sniffing all over me.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I'm not going to mess around with getting them. I'm just going to get treats and get them inside.
Yeah. And just like, where are they?
Yeah.
Where are the treats? I know you have them. But yeah, I think that's basically it for this chapter, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Chapter 9.
Yeah. Right. I went back here for a second and then I
Yeah. So chapter 9 is sort of about Ethan showing Lyndon some paths.
Yeah.
Some options for paths.
Yeah, he brings him into this, like, small room with, like, nothing in it. And he's like, the library! Lyndon is like, this is not like any library I've ever seen. This is not a library. Where are the books?
Yep. It's like, I'm sure there's something.
Yep.
There's some sort of trick to this.
Yep. And then Ethan pulls out, like, a little, like, construct thing. Like, and there's this, like, projection of, like, a guy comes out. And it can, like, show
off like the different paths.
Yeah. So it shows first like Lyndon's like empty palm and stuff, and like Lyndon's current path, which he's super excited about, is like as like usefulness wise and stuff. Like never mind looking at his enemy's abilities. If he could study his own techniques like this, watching them from the outside in, how much could he learn? He could perfect his every movement.
Yeah.
And just like him being excited, like just for that. And Ethan's like kind of talking about the path of twin stars and that you can do a lot with pure Madra, but it also has like a lot of drawbacks. Like you have like no defense, like your defense is 0. And so he kind of walks Lyndon through like trying to like
the path of the glass cannon.
So he's trying to like lead him to like we need like a path to supplement your like current one that like
a strong
compensates for your
a path that can like have one of your cores be one path to compensate and have like your pure Madra still, but then you can also have like a regular path.
Yep. And so then he gives him a bunch of examples and stuff. I also like this little bit like talking about like why people normally don't do like 2 paths and stuff like that. You know why that really works, don't you? There's only so much time in the day and only so many resources you can dedicate to an advancement. Instead of ending up twice as powerful, you end up half as skilled in 2 areas. And then Ethan's like, all that's true. That's true, but it's not what I was getting at. You explained why learning 2 paths is difficult, but it isn't impossible. It can be done. How? Oh, it's just as you said. You need to work twice as hard or spend twice as much time and just, like, going through, like, what he needs to do, like, pathwise. And shows kind of what his pure Madra stuff could do eventually, and then shows like a bunch of paths. So Lyndon asks about Jai Long's path, so then they like talk about the path of the Stellar Spear.
Right.
That's what he was trained as, and so then his is slightly different. They're like his techniques like move on their own, and so, like, they have some sort of
they like move around like snakes.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because he's with like the sand vipers and stuff. But it's like normally they're just like shooting out beams essentially, but his like beams move around like snakes or whatever.
Basically.
He like draws them with his spear and move.
Yep. And the snakes are like sharp, like blades, basically.
Yeah.
Because it is like the Stellar Spear Madra.
Yep. So it's still the same thing, but they just like move around and can like follow you and stuff.
Yep.
Which is like, pretty fucking sick, my dude.
Yep.
Why are you all so down on this path?
Oh, right.
Because it makes you ugly? You're already ugly. You have fucking metal hair.
Right.
But I mean, it just gives you cool anime spiky hair.
Yeah.
So,
I did like how Jai Daisho's hair was described, because most of them, like, it seems like it's more like all together, like helmet wise.
Yeah.
And his is like individual strands of metal almost. Like it's like like described that way. I just like how it's
Yeah, I didn't like pay too much attention to it. But yeah, that's fun. Yeah, because they do say, it's like, what does that feel like? Helmet.
Yeah, when Ethan's like intimidating
intimidating the Jai that were there at the ruins. Yep.
Yeah.
So it shows them the Stellar Spear path, and then also like some other paths.
Yep. Then like the original version of Stellar Spear that like the Jai clan had been like looking for.
Oh yeah. He's like, oh yeah, we just have it.
we just have it, like, and but this won't none of these will work for his like circumstances. They take too much skill and time and training.
Yeah.
Like because he needs to be skilled at like. Skilled in a different way, like skilled like with a spear, like with a weapon. It's
right. Yeah.
And like
there's just like more sort of like requirements, technical things to learn. Learning how to like harness light madra, we know, is like difficult.
Yes.
And so it's like we need something that's like simple and powerful because you only have so much time to learn it.
Yep.
Something that you can learn over a short period of time that will be like very powerful up front, kind of shit.
Yep. And then Lyndon asks for a special path, one that's are there any famous or especially powerful paths out there? And Ethan raised an eyebrow. You think you need a special path? Are ordinary paths not good enough to meet your esteemed estimation? I knew it was childish to ask. Excuse me, I only wanted... No, you were right. Powerful paths coming right up.
Yeah, Ethan just loves to fuck with you.
Oh, yes.
It's great because it's like... Not everyone's like this. Ethan's just the one who's this, and it like works. It like works for him.
Yep.
He just loves to fuck with you because he can.
Yep.
Because he can get away with it.
Yep. I think he also likes the mystery of it.
Yes.
Like likes it making him,
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, and so he shows him the like fucking path of the current imperial family or whatever.
Yeah. I feel like path of the crawling shades, path of the twisting rivers, path of the last oath, path of the grasping sky. The path of the grasping sky was the imperial one that Lyndon finds out like is illegal to learn.
Yep. Yeah, cause,
like, you were gonna.
Yeah, because like either is it at the end of this chapter, or is it like the beginning of next chapter that he's like, whenever Ethan eventually settles on the path of Blackflame, because Ethan's pushing Lyndon in that direction, sort of like subtly, or not so subtly,
right?
It's like great.
Yeah, it is in this chapter. Blackflame.
Yeah, because it's like, oh yeah, the Blackflame path, the Blackflame Empire, because that family. The people who were using it, they like made the empire with it, but then it like burned them out and stuff.
And so then now the Naru clan is in charge, the Blackflame Empire.
The Naruto clan is in charge.
Instead of the Blackflame family.
Yep. And so it's like, so if you start doing the path of the empire that sort of came before... It kind of looks bad, but at least it's not literally illegal.
Yes.
The whatever the...
Yeah. Is that family gonna come after me for using it? Who cares what they think? They're dead. Mostly. And I doubt the Imperial clan will be incredibly happy about us demonstrating the powers of their predecessor in public. So we're left with that little problem. But that's a minor detail. It isn't illegal to practice the Blackflame path, unlike the path of Grasping Sky.
That was illegal? And then it just moves on.
Yeah.
Like, he also moves on from mostly.
Anytime they're like, Ethan, what the fuck? He's like, immediately, moving on.
And moving on,
Yep. And then Ethan is like, conveniently, this is the like one of the few places that that
you can actually get Blackflame Madra or Blackflame Vital Aura or whatever the fuck.
Yep, because you need not only fire, but destruction aura.
Yes.
Which you get for Blackflame.
Yep. Pure destruction.
Yes.
It's such an interesting idea for, like, it's pure destruction energy. Destruction aura. Destruction Madra.
Yep.
You know? It's like, what does that even mean?
I also love how it's described, like, how it, like, feels. I always like how he describes, like, how, like, the Madra and aura, like, like, physically feels.
Yeah.
And I love, like, the destruction. Multiple people, like, mention it, like, when they're around, like, a lot of Blackflame and stuff. Like, prickling needles or insects or whatever, like, in your body.
Yep, it's just sort of, like, tearing you up inside.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. But yeah, and, because it's, like, I think before he takes Lyndon into the library to do this thing, he tells someone to, like, go ready.
Go ready training chamber number 3.
Which he said, like, before taking Lyndon to go do this thing, and then it was like, luckily there's a place for you to do this, and it's like, we just gotta go to training training chamber number 3, and it's like, yes, the one that he had set up ahead of time.
Yeah, Lyndon actually, he guessed it or whatever. There's a cave in this very city where the Aurelius family has sealed a descendant of the ancient dragons, and that cave is filled with such Madra. What luck!
What luck!
By chance, does that cave happen to be underground chamber number 3?
Yep.
And he, like, doesn't say anything, smiles, and is just like, they're all ready for you. Is the medical team ready?
Is the medical team ready? That's what you like to hear.
Yep.
Yep, and that's...
yeah, because they're going to meet a descendant of a dragon.
A descendant of a dragon.
Yes.
You telling me there's dragons here? There's a descendant of a dragon here.
Another thing, so we didn't mention this in the last chapter.
Yes.
This is also about there's two things. With the dragons, Lyndon, like, thought of them as myths and stuff. He, like, grew up thinking of like, dragons as myths, and, like, just seeing all the skeletons and stuff. And
it's
then,
like, they're real.
Yeah, and he's also like, I mean, I knew that they had to, like, exist because Suriel had shown me one in the sea or whatever in our in that vision or whatever.
Right, yeah.
That's what North Strider went down into the sea and they saw a dragon.
Which now, because of that image you showed me, I just think of as Kaido.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Someone made, like, a little, like, meme thing on, like, the Cradle, like, Reddit or whatever. That's a bunch of the characters.
It's like how I imagine them.
Yeah,
and just sort of like...
North Strider is just Kaido.
It's just Kaido from One Piece, which is so funny.
I love it.
Yeah, and then it's like... The funny thing is that, like, Athan was, like, Aang's face on top of what I believe was Power's body, but then just, like, a blue, like, fucking, like, stars and moons, like, wizard robe photoshopped on top, which was just really funny. Yeah, and so it was quite good. And then there's someone who I haven't gotten to yet.
Yep. Who's big hammer?
Yes, giant hammer, and then, like, a little, like, it's like I recognize this guy as being from one of the newer Pokemon games.
Yeah.
And he's like this, like, tired businessman looking guy. Yeah. And they gave him, like, green horns and made him tiny and gave him a big hammer. And I'm like, I don't know who this is, but I already love this. This feels right up my alley.
I love it. I'm excited.
It's like Zeal or something?
That was yes.
Yeah, and so now I'm like looking out for you. For Zeal, whoever you turn out to be. Oh yeah, and then but anyway, that was that. But then the other thing that we didn't, like, mention is the whole, like, ranking stuff.
Yes.
Like, I mentioned it just a tiny bit, but, like, everything is ranked here, which I think is such a funny, but also, like, a fun sort of, like, part of, like, their society and how their society sort of, like, values things.
Yeah.
Everything is about... Because the sacred arts, there are certain, like, distinct, discrete, like, stepping up the ladder in, like, discrete steps of, like, copper and iron and jade and yada yada yada. They're so, like you know, they're so focused on power level.
Yes, yep.
In, like, a Dragon Ball Z sense. And so, like, everything is, like,
everything
ranked.
Is,
And it's kind of, like, almost like a funny, like, absurdist thing about it. But it's like, no, this is how their society is. Everything is ranked, and whatever is at the top gets the best shit, and everything else gets worse. And isn't that great? And it actually fucking sucks.
Yeah. Fisher Gesha is like, this is just, like... like, no, this is like is normal. It's not, because like Yaren is like, that's a twisty way of, you know.
Yes. It's like, what the fuck?
And Gesha's just like, no, like, it makes sense. The best ranked things get the best stuff, and that's how it is.
That's how it is. Yeah. It's just so like this is the society,
and like all the way down to, because like you see it in like Ethan's like interactions with like all of like the servants and stuff when he like first shows up. Like all the servants are individually like ranked. Yeah. And then like all of the like families are ranked, and all of the businesses and all of the like literally like, everything.
Okay, because I think in like maybe a later chapter we get like a perspective from Jai Long, and there's like a throwaway thing like from the 7th best smith, like walking past the 7th best smith or whatever,
and it's
shop.
It's all like that.
Yep, and it's just kind of like a little part of sort of like the background detail that like we get as we're like going. And like I feel like it'll maybe sort of continue to like be like important as it goes on, but for right now it's mostly just kind of like a funny little background detail. But yeah, and so I think that's
I think that that should be good.
That's it for chapter 9.
Yeah.
Chapter 10.
So we are going to underground chamber 3 or whatever.
Yep. So far, Cradle very cavey. Lots of caves and tunnels. You know, dungeons with dragons.
So this is like, I don't think this is in like one of the like bones. I think this is like an actual like
like actual earth, mountain, like ground.
And so like they go in this like cave system, and they had to like, they have all these like seals up, and it's like kind of crazy, and you can feel the destruction aura and like stuff everywhere. And you just like hear this like Orthos and stuff like yelling in the background, roaring in the background.
We get introduced to Orthos.
And so Ethan is like kind of talking about like his condition and why he's like not really all there. He's like
he's like too overflowing with Blackflame, and so like the destruction Madra and stuff is just like eating him up. And making him not be quite like all there.
And Ethan's like agitated today, isn't he? His handlers say that company soothes him. It seems that they haven't had any volunteers since Lady Nakili lost her leg. Well, I can't say I blame them. Though the Soulsmiths made her a fine prosthetic, didn't they? And then, no expenses spared, I'm told. Though surely she misses her flesh and blood. Well, at least she can roast meat on her kneecap now. That should be some comfort.
Thanks, Ethan. At least she can roast meat on her kneecap now.
What prosthetic did y'all give her? It was like a flame, like...
Because, like, in my head, I'm like, is it just...
Or is it metal?
Like, is it just, like, metal, and so she can use it? And it's like, fucking, my knee doubles as a small grill. And just, you know, just over here, like, you know, you're sitting with, like, your knee up, and you're just grilling on your knee.
But and, so they're, like, trying to kind of calm him down enough, like, with some, like, pure Madra, like, Ethan... or whatever, to like talk to Lyndon and stuff, and so he's trying to save Orthos and give Lyndon a power up, and they can do that by like forming a like contract. That is another way to get to gold.
It's like instead of getting that power from a remnant and like absorbing a remnant, you gain that power from like a living, like a sacred beast that also has like a bunch of power that it can give you, but you like form like a soul contract with it. And thus Lyndon becomes Naruto. Now we have 2 Narutos. See, because you were saying, because we were talking a little bit about Naruto recently. And that like part of her Sasuke-ness is that she's like a prodigy.
Because Cassius mentions it like in a little bit or whatever. It's like she's a like true prodigy or whatever.
So it's like Yaren is our Sasuke for sure. You know, and so like Lyndon's our Naruto.
Because like both Naruto and Sasuke, like they worked like really hard and stuff. But like it's Sasuke.
Sasuke's
born prodigy also works hard. Naruto born not like he was
and so he's got
but like worked like crazy hard.
It was always, I thought it was an interesting thing in Naruto how it's like oh, the shadow clones, if the shadow clones are all, like, training...
Yeah.
Then, like, when they disappear, I, like, gain their knowledge.
Yeah.
And so, like, he just, like, makes a whole bunch of himself to all be training at once.
Yeah.
Like, they all, like... I just remember him making a huge bunch of them and having them all, like, fight each other.
Yeah.
It's just, like... I'm like, that's interesting. About that. Yeah, no, that always, like, stuck with me from Naruto. It was, like, a fun little thing. Which is why, like, I think I watched, like, maybe, like, the first episode of Boruto. And there's a thing about him, like, being the Hokage and just sending shadow clones out everywhere and, like, trying to sort of be everywhere all at once.
Yeah.
And sending a shadow clone to, like, be home with his family.
Yeah.
And it being, like, a whole thing. And I'm like, yeah, no, that feels...
That feels like Naruto.
That feels like Naruto. And I'm like, that's a good thing for him to, like, have conflict with his, like, family about.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. And so it's just, like...
Naruto's goal never quite made sense to me.
Yeah.
Like, Luffy's...
wanting to be King of the Pirates makes, like, more sense than Naruto wanting to be Hokage.
Yeah.
Because it's, like, King of the Pirates is just, like, is a pure, like... status thing in the way of, like, oh, if you get the One Piece, you will be King of the Pirates. And it's just about being, like, the best pirate. Well, like, yes, the best ninja becomes Hokage, I guess, kind of.
Except for most of the best really don't want to be Hokage and vehemently turn it down over and over and over and over and over again. And the position of Hokage is constantly seen as, like, no one wants to fucking do it. Because
you have to actually... Because it's actually just about running the village, and how strong you are as a ninja doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
It's purely, like...
It's mostly bureaucratic. I don't know why the most powerful needs to be, you know?
It's truly mostly just, like...
We keep shitting on Naruto. We're so mean to Naruto. I did have fun watching Naruto. I did like it. Yeah,
and it's truly... I don't have any, like, real room to talk. Like, here's the thing. I did watch Naruto growing up, but, like, I never finished Naruto.
Yeah.
I never, like... I don't think I even got to Shippuden.
I watched most of Shippuden.
And so it's, like, I only know the stuff that I remember from, like, growing up watching it.
Yeah.
And there's just stuff where it's, like... It's not that Naruto isn't good.
Yeah.
It's just that, you know, there are criticisms.
Yeah.
And the thing was, in the previous episode, I was like, we need our Sakura, who's going to be our third member and our healer. And we do get the answer to that in this coming section. I was like, Lil Blue's going to end up being our healer. And I was correct, but we're not there yet.
Yeah. In the meeting with the Orthos and stuff, we kind of, like, learn that he was, like, protecting the, like, Aurelius and stuff.
Yes.
And defending them from an attack. Had I been there? I was saying Orthos' own Madra overwhelmed his mind. He gave too much of himself for the sake of protecting my family. And so then, like, they tried to revive him. They couldn't really do much.
Yeah, and so it's like, I'm trying to find some way to, like, help cure him.
Yeah. We also hear a little bit of Ethan's history in this bit.
Yeah.
Lyndon asks, I have wondered for some time now, are you not from the Blackflame Empire? And he said, not entirely. I spent most of my childhood in the Blackflame City, as I believe I told you before, but I was born half a world away. I only returned to the Blackflame branch for almost 7 years now. Incredible that you rose to the head of the family at that time. Oh, they couldn't promote me fast enough. Having an underlord at the head puts them on the same level as the 3 great clans. So it would improve our standing even if I spent all day drinking peach wine and eating honey drops. And he's like, but I have, like, more, like, the hands-on, you know, control and stuff. And I like Lyndon's little thought. Lyndon couldn't help but a pang of sympathy for the Aurelius family leaders, or branch heads. Trying to prop Ethan up as a puppet leader seemed like trying to saddle a whirlwind.
Yeah, because Ethan's just gonna do what he wants to do. Having him be a puppet leader is just not
gonna work.
Nope, he's like, nope, I'm gonna do what I want to do.
Yep.
But I mean, he does seem to be doing a job with it.
Yep. They don't, like, get what he's, you know...
What he's on about.
And they don't really trust him. I think that's, like, the biggest thing is, like, they just don't trust that...
That he is, like, doing sort of, like, what's best.
Yeah. I like... And we don't, like, fully know, like, what he's up to and, like, his plans and everything. Like, we don't know, like, does that include the Aurelius family? Or is it, like, him, you know?
Right.
Like, is he doing what's best for the Aurelius family?
Or is he just doing what's best for, like, for himself?
Right. And I could see, like, them, like... you know, having that worry.
Yeah, that makes sense. That does make sense. Yeah.
But, Yeah, well, we also never mentioned what Orthos is.
Yeah, no. Yeah, we meet Orthos. Who's Orthos? Don't worry about it.
A giant turtle!
A giant dragon turtle!
Yeah.
It's great. Fucking giant flaming dragon turtle.
Yep.
Which, in that meme, they had, like, a big, cool, like, Orthos drawing, and then Torkoal, the Pokemon, which is very good.
Yeah.
I enjoy it.
Yeah. I also love, is this what a dragon looks like? A dragon? No, I said it was a descendant of dragons. Orthos is clearly a magnificent turtle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because like I remember that there was some sort of dragon, not a dragon.
Yeah.
That was like a thing, and so it's like here we go, and I'm like I kind of thought that it was a turtle, and so then I'm like here we go, it's the giant dragon turtle.
Yeah.
Which the idea of dragon turtle is very fun. Like to make a turtle a dragon is still very fun and cool.
Yeah. Because
turtles are often sort of like a mythological kind of thing,
Yeah.
Being like like the world turtle and all that, and also just think about like the lion turtles or whatever from Avatar.
Yeah. And so like in order to even like get him to like bond with Lyndon, I almost said Luffy. God.
two One Piece brain.
Right.
We were watching a One Piece reaction like right before this, so.
And so he's like kind of trying to like calm him down enough to be like he's like I know it's difficult, but gather yourself and hear me. A boy has come to train here. He's one of the family. Because he's like kind of like roughing him, like he's like trying to stop him from attacking. Because like Orthos is like throwing Blackflame everywhere, freaking out. Like he's not doing good. And so he's like, I'm sorry for getting rough. If this works as I intend, you could both learn from one another. And like doing like a bond or whatever. So then they talk about like normally how like bonds with like sacred beasts like go. Normally it's like with children and like a younger sacred beast, but Orthos is like 400 years old. Like he's a few hundred years old, and Lyndon is not like a young child.
But he does still have the pure Madra.
Yeah. So like that will still help him, and then he can also get like his body can handle the crazy amount of like Blackflame that
is gonna go like rushing into him.
Yeah, and I think also because of his iron body.
Because he's got
can handle all of that Blackflame.
Yep, and also he's been teaching him that breathing technique.
Yep.
Because it's like he makes the bond.
Yep.
And the like it starts like pouring into him.
Yeah.
And then Ethan's like. It's like the heaven and earth, what's the breathing technique called?
Yeah, the heaven and earth purification wheel?
Heaven and earth purification wheel. And so then it's like he starts doing the breathing technique sort of like...
Yeah, heaven and earth purification wheel.
Yep, he starts doing that breathing technique with the Madra coming in and just like, it's like, alright, time to advance to Jade.
Yep. Yeah, I was like, yeah, so basically they both sit there like screaming for like a while as this is like happening.
As he's just being filled up with pure fire and destruction energy.
Yeah, basically it's just like burning him from the inside out for a while and then his like body's like healing him and Yeah. That's basically, like, his life after this. Yeah. Honestly.
Yeah.
Like, that's, like, when we get into, like, the trial and everything. That's, like, the burning cloak and all that.
Yep. Yeah. It's, like, this is what the path of Black Flame's all about.
Yep. Yeah.
Which is also, like, such a fucking, like, anime protagonist thing.
Oh, yeah.
Like, oh, it's taking years off your life kind of shit. Like, when Luffy started doing, like, Year Second or whatnot. Yeah. And then we just don't ever really hear about it again.
I'm still worried about that.
Yeah.
I'm still worried about it. Like...
Because the same is also true for, like, Ivankov's whole, like...
Yeah, the...
hormone thing also, like, takes years off his life or something.
Oda is too consistent in bringing things like that back for me to not be... worried in some way.
Yeah. One Piece podcast.
Yep, you're right.
This is what you come here for. You come here for the regular book podcast, knowing that it'll also be half of a One Piece podcast every time.
Yeah. And lately some Naruto.
And apparently lately some Naruto. See, we just need to go back and, like, rewatch Naruto or something, I guess. Add that to the list. Rewatch Naruto and reevaluate it.
Yeah.
But anyway,
yeah. So then in the same chapter, we switch over to Ethan, and he's kind of like watching this whole
this whole thing happen.
He like moves Lyndon's pack out of the way of the burning.
It's like in time to snoop in his pack.
Yeah. So then he's like, I've looked at this with my like bloodline abilities already,
right?
But I just want to see it. Like I want to like pull everything out and see it. And he like memorizes the location of everything so he can put it all back perfectly.
Yep.
And then he pulls out the Sylvan River Seed. He pulls like the case out. And then he
Little Blue. He makes a scale.
First before the scale he does Soulfire. I want to talk about the Soulfire.
Gotcha.
Because, like, the Sylvan's, like, in there, whatever, and so then,
yeah, because I couldn't remember if the scale or the Soulfire was first.
Yep, the Soulfire is first, and then the scale to, like, solidify it.
Gotcha.
So extending one finger, Ethan conjured a spark of Soulfire. The gray-white flame was half-transparent, like a memory of a flame rather than a flame itself. Unlike a natural blaze, it was perfectly round and spinning slowly and throwing off the occasional flare like a dull, tiny sun. This was only a fragment of the writhing spectral gray mass of Soulfire that hovered in his spirit, just a few inches above his core. Other Underlords would weave as much Soulfire as they could afford, hoarding it against an emergency, but Ethan counted on his ability to make more at a moment's notice. Thanks to the sense provided by his bloodline, he could always find more fuel.
Yeah.
So that's what we get about Soulfire.
Yeah. Whatever
that means.
Whatever that means. We just kind of like get it, and we know that other Underlords have it, and so it feels like that's kind of the thing that makes you an Underlord.
Yeah.
That like the insight that dude's lacking has something to do with like Soulfire.
Yeah.
Presumably.
Yeah.
Yeah. How does one set their soul on fire? What is the kindling and whatnot, or the fuel or whatever that he was talking about?
Yep.
I don't know. But he's like, here you go, Little Blue.
Yep. And so that does like a lot to her.
Oh yeah.
It like
makes her a little person.
Yep. It grows, like its hands get get fingers, it's like feet, like it has like a mouth now and stuff, like you can see like the hair and all of that, and it's like gets kind of freaked out by its new existence.
Yeah, it's like, whoa, I am.
Yeah.
I think, therefore I am.
It flailed its arms, staring in horror at its new fingers. That sight drove it to the far end of the case, jumping into the flowing river. Realizing it was now too big to submerge entirely, it scampered back and huddled under its tree instead.
Aww.
It's just really like...
He's like, oh,
yeah.
what's going on? I exist now.
And so then to like help stabilize things, he like forges a scale. In the Blackflame Empire, they would call it a superior grade scale, and it would be worth 10,000 of lindens.
Yep. See, but like, what's he like? It because like he forges the scale himself. But,
yes.
Like scales are normally like pure Madra, right?
You can form. No, they are normally pure Madra.
So like, how did he make this?
You can make scales of others, but yeah.
So like, how did he make this scale? Did he make the scale of pure Madra, or did he use his own
thing? Yeah.
His own thing, and if so, like, is that gonna have some sort of effect on Little Blue?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I like the thoughts.
Yep, because I'm like,
good thoughts.
Is Little Blue gonna be like, I can see everything? Like fucking Neji.
Yeah.
I can see everything. See, the thing is, the truth about my interaction with Naruto is that at a certain point, my primary understanding of Naruto, like my primary interaction with Naruto, was playing the Naruto fighting games over at my friend Brady's house.
Yeah.
Do I need to remove his name? Nah, that's just a name.
Yeah.
You don't know. Yeah. You don't know anything.
Nah. No location, no nothing.
No, nothing. But yeah, no, so like, I would go over and play fucking the Naruto fighting games with him and stuff, and like other friends. And so it's like, when Neji would do his like big attack or whatever, he would go, I can see everything! And so like, that's just burned into my brain. And we would in one of the games, because there was like one of them that was more like 2D.
Yeah.
Like it was still like 3D, but it was like on like that like 2D plane, and then one that was more like 3D.
So I played a 3D one, like when I was in college.
Yeah.
I don't remember which game it was, but I played a little bit of it like at a friend's house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then like so we would play that one, and then there was like another one that was like a later one that was like more sort of like 3D and higher fidelity and stuff. But that older one, it's like Rock Lee. You could like activate the like the gates or whatever, and then you could do like the like hidden lotus.
Yeah.
And so you would just like literally teleport over to the other character and do like the kick.
Yep.
And so you could like jump or something and like not get hit by it. But we used to like do this thing because you could go in and do like handicap or whatever and like change stuff. So we would make it so that we like our damage was like maxed out and our HP was as low as it could be, and just whoever could hit the other one first with it won, essentially. Yeah. It was super goofy.
That's wild. Yeah. That's fun.
Yep. So it was quite the time. Yeah. It was quite the fun time. So it's like truly it's like, and then there's just like characters who I'm like, who the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Who's this? I don't know. Yeah. I've never seen this person in my life. There's fucking like Toby.
Yeah.
Or whatever. You got like the mask or whatever. And is acting all like goofy and silly, and I'm like, I didn't think that this character was the goofy silly kind of guy. I thought that this was more of like a serious antagonist kind of guy.
No, he's a serious goofy antagonist.
Yeah, and so
there's a lot to. I can't even remember all the Toby shit. I can't remember a lot of it.
Yeah, I just know that it's like a thing, and like watching him be like goofy in the game and being like, oh,
yeah,
because like I've just seen him in like vaguely like
Toby
Naruto
specifically
stuff online.
is like a kind of put on personality
right
type of thing.
And then he gets like more serious or whatever because it's like Obito?
Yeah.
Yeah, because like Toby, Obito.
Yeah, because it's a whole like thing that he's putting on.
Yeah, and then it's like I'm like, does he have something to do with pain, or is that completely unrelated?
I think it is related, but it's been too long.
Yeah, it's true. It's like I know that pain exists.
Yeah.
And there's like 6 of him or something.
Yeah, that there is.
Yeah, and I'm like, what's?
I think it is. God, I don't want to say nonsense.
Because like truly, I'm like, man, I don't know shit about Naruto. Like, there's like Pain, and he's like 6 dudes, and then there's like Madara, and he exists. Yeah. And there's like an Uchiha or something. Yeah. And he's trying to like turn the moon into an eye. Yeah. Unlimited Tsukiyomi or whatever. Yeah. If I genjutsu the whole world, I essentially control the world, which is cool. But how do the moon become I? Yeah. Don't worry about it. Yeah. It's
just like projected the
like
the
Sharingan
eye on the moon somehow.
Yeah. It's some fucking FMA bullshit. Yeah. So yeah, it's just like random and then there's like a moon lady.
Yeah.
There's like a moon lady who shows up eventually. Yeah. And Naruto does reverse harem jutsu and becomes a bunch of sexy men. Yeah. And Sakura gets a nosebleed. I think. Yeah. Just random Naruto shit. Right. I'm like, man, this series, cause like I remember. I just know there's like a joke. It's like, remember when Naruto was about ninjas? Yeah. Remember when they were ninjas doing ninja things? It's like, were they ever really doing ninja things? When the whole world is ninjas?
It's hard to, yeah.
What does it mean to be a ninja and to do like subterfuge and assassination and stealth shit? Literally everyone's a ninja.
Yeah, there's also like more technology than you think.
Yes. I just like
like, cause like it seems like there's even more in Boruto, but like I remember there being like it's like scenes like the I don't know, the people who weren't in the actual villages were like watching some stuff on TV screens. I don't remember what it was. Yeah, but I have a specific like image in my head.
Cause like I remember like Tsunade going to like fucking like slot machines or whatever, or like pachinko. I'm sure. I'm just being like. It looked like digital almost. And then also like they had like earpieces for like talking to each other at one point. And I'm like, oh, this feels more technologically advanced than I expected. Yeah. But yeah.
It was just a little blue.
But see here we have almost like Magitech in the form of like soul smithing.
Yeah.
You get sort of like a magitech.
Yep.
So like we can get some things that kind of feel like our technology.
Yeah. Because like that little like projector construct thing or whatever feels like, you know,
it feels
could
almost
be
like
a
sci-fi.
hologram.
It feels almost like, you know, but it's like, no, it's because also it's like when we get to like Suriel doing her stuff, it feels
sci-fi,
more like sci-fi.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's like, but it's more like, no, it's just like kind of magitech shit.
Yeah.
You know?
It's so, I love like that aspect of it where like it takes this story and makes it feel sci-fi somehow. And, like just in those little like. Honestly, like, the information requested is some of my favorite, like, little, like, it just makes it feel, like you said, like, part sci-fi.
Right.
And just, like, this, like...
Because, you know, it's sci-fi...
Yeah.
It's so funny how there's, like, some magic we say is sci-fi magic and other magic is fantasy magic.
Yeah, like sci-fi, like, sci-fantasy, like, all of that. Like, it's so, like, close.
Yeah.
A lot of times. It'd be fun. But yeah. Oh, and with Little Blue, Ethan's a little surprised that that she doesn't look like him because he just did like the soul fire and that. And he's like, oh, it like looks like a little like woman, like looks like she has like a dress and like and all of that. And but Ethan expected it to look more like him. Evidently, Lyndon had a strong impression that the spirit was female, which had influenced its shape.
Yep.
And yeah, and then like after the scale or whatever, she's like calmed down a bit.
Yeah.
With one finger, she brushed what looked like hair out of her new formed eyes and gave him a sharp grin. Then she straightened up, all 4 inches tall, and bowed at the waist. Which is very like, you know, you can tell Lyndon had an influence, you know.
Yep, it's just like both with like the little like grin, the like kind of grin, but also the bow.
The bow, yep. Yeah, so then we head back to Lyndon and stuff. And Lyndon is, like, kind of feeling out his new Jade senses, because he's Jade.
Yeah, so, like, I know that we've been over this. Yes. What makes you Jade?
Jade is, like, spiritual perception. So, like, with Copper, you can, like, see aura. Iron is like your like body, and also like Copper, you can like start to like cycle vital aura.
Yeah.
Iron is like you're pushing it through your body. Jade is like through like spirit.
Yeah, because it's like by getting the spiral in your core or whatever, you can like pull in, I guess, like spirit stuff, so you can do the spirit perception thing or something.
The Jade cycling is just to, like, get all of that power. Well, yeah. Now I got myself all confused. Yeah, it's more getting your body ready to take in, like, a bunch more, like, power and stuff with the cycling technique. But the actual, like, spiritual perception is...
more sort of, like, the thing that makes you Jade.
Yeah. Like,
that's how you know that you've achieved Jade.
Yeah, and, like, what you can kind of, like, do.
Yeah. It's just like, what is it that you have to do to like get you, like, what is it that you do to get it so that you can do the spiritual perception? Is it just like the Jade cycling technique eventually gets you there?
Yeah, basically.
Gotcha. They're barking out there. It's rude. I don't know if y'all can hear just like a little barks occasionally. Because we'll be, like, quiet because we're, like, looking for, like, something in the book or whatever. And then there's just, like, a bark in the background. And there'll be, like, a couple barks. And I'm like, if those get picked up and the truncated silence just makes all the barks happen, like, right after each other, that'd be kind of funny. Yeah, because he's like, the patriarch of the Way clan was only Jade. And now, like, I'm Jade. That's, like, fucking crazy.
Yep.
Just so much stronger than I ever thought would even be potentially possible.
Yep. Yeah, it's not talking, like, in this section, it doesn't go super into...
the like Jade perception stuff.
It's just him like using the perception and not talking about like
the mechanics of it. Yeah, and I mean like, you know, the mechanics of it aren't like super like important or anything. It's just like something that like I get like curious about.
Yeah. Sometimes I get like confused.
Get like mixed up on things and whatnot. Yeah. But yeah, he's now reached Jade, and he's like, I can sense things. I can like sense like people and how strong they are and stuff.
Yeah, so just him like trying out his
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he's talking about, like, he can't, like, hear or see anything this way, not like the Aurelius family, but, like, the powers of Madra and Aura were, like, clear to him.
Gotcha.
And it's, how are you enjoying Jade? This is Jade? And then Orthos, barely.
But yeah, because, like, Orthos is a little bit more sort of, like,
yeah, he's
cogent
yep.
right now, like, after having, like, let loose some of that, like, Madra, like, into Linden.
Yep. Yep, he got some of Linden's pure Madra and got rid of some of, like, the backup of Blackflame, so he's doing better. Also, Orthos starts snacking on the cave around them.
Yes, just, like, eating the rocks.
Yeah. The turtle took a bite out of the rock as though it were made of cheese, speaking through a mouthful of gravel.
Yeah, or Orthos is always just munching on rocks.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, when you're pure destruction, I figure you can probably just kind of, like, break down anything.
Yeah.
You can kind of just digest anything at that point.
Yeah. And he's described as, like, because, like, Linden can feel Orthos and stuff, like, in the back of his mind and stuff.
Yeah.
And so he feels like kind of Orthos' like arrogance and like all of that.
Right, now that they're water bonded.
Yep. Yeah. And he can, like, feel, like, kind of, like, location, like, direction wise, like where he is.
Yes, in order to understand this podcast, please read Wheel of Time and One Piece, and then, you know...
then you're all good.
And you're all good. Any and all references we make will suddenly make sense. We need to watch that season of Wheel of Time, even though it's canceled now.
Yeah, it's sad. I hope it gets... They're trying to get it chopped to a different place. Hopefully it'll happen, but I don't know. We'll see.
Yep.
But yeah. Ethan talks to Orthos, and Orthos is like, Ethan's, if you want Linden to share this burden with you, you should see to his training yourself. My memory is dim, but I remember you. You never spoke with proper respect. Do I owe you respect? I do not fear underlords. Your advancement means nothing before a dragon's breath. Sir, if this is an issue of respect, we should...
Yep, just, like, fucking going back and forth with each other there.
Yeah. And it's, they do, like, a quick spar.
Yeah. Ethan and Orthos do a quick spar.
Yep.
And Linden's like, oh shit, I gotta get out of here.
Yeah. And he changes out his badge from iron to jade.
Yep, and he's so happy.
Yeah.
He's like, it's time. I leveled up. Hooray.
Yep.
So yeah, that's chapter 10.
Yeah.
Chapter 11.
Yeah. So Orthos starts explaining, like, vital aura and how, like, it like builds up in specific places, like compatible places, like over time.
Yeah.
And so, like, talking about, like, a stone staying, like, if it's undisturbed for long enough, it'll turn into Titan's bone, which is, like, all but indestructible, and just, like...
Yeah, kind of like how, like, he said, like, oh, the trees, when trees are around for long enough, it eventually, like, you know, becomes kind of... Because, like, a sacred beast, if it's around for long enough, or if an animal is alive for long enough and gets enough vital aura, it becomes a sacred beast. Like, the white foxes eventually becoming, like, Elder Whisper... And then it's, like, the same with the trees, and it's also turns out it's the same with, like, rocks and stuff like that. But they have to, like, just sit there and be a rock in one place and just suffuse that space with rock aura.
And Linden's like, well, wouldn't all rock be, like, Titan's bone by now, then? And Orthos is like, nah, sacred artists have an endless appetite. They're, like, pulling on, like, that aura all the time, so it's not able to, like...
Yeah, it need to be somewhere truly, like, undisturbed, like, not just moving the rock, but not, like, pulling the stone aura, like, from it. Because it's like, the fucking, like, when the thing came up...
The Transcendent Ruins.
The Transcendent Ruins came up out of the ground and just, like, sucked in vital aura from, like, miles around. It's just, like...
and you see, like, they could see, like, all of the colors, like, that, all of that, like, dim noticeably.
Yes,
like,
and there's sort of, like, copper sight. To,
like, actually remove vital aura like that.
Right, and so it's like, well, none of that's going to be Titan bone anytime soon.
right, exactly. You know? Yep. Yeah, and so then he's, like, talking about, like, advancement is an endless hunt for greater and greater sources of power. You start by feeding on the aura in candles and campfires, but sooner than you think, you'll be hunting for dragon hearts and sunreaver stones and sacred flames, always climbing. So, like...
Yeah. Just need to fucking chuck yourself into a volcano and absorb all the fire of the Earth's core. And
Yep. But there has to be enough destruction around.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a volcano. I'm sure there's plenty of destruction around, too.
Depends on, like, probably where. Like, in the volcano, you know?
Because Orthos does feel very sort of volcanic.
Yeah.
In his sort of, like...
Yeah.
Stone and flame kind of thing. You're eating the rocks. It feels being a flame thing that eats rocks, it feels very, like, magma.
Yep. And then we also talk a bit, like, Lyndon thinks about, like, how they cycled, like light and dream aura and stuff, and how, like, it's...
You gotta get up early in the morning.
Yep. And how it's, like... a kind of actually like hard aura to like cultivate and stuff.
Yep.
And I'm just thinking about Lyndon had thought of that process, like the transcendent ruins, as something like taking in a breath. The ruins may have inhaled, but that didn't mean there was any less air outside. Now he imagined it more like draining a bucket and waiting for rain to fill it back up.
Yep.
And then we cycle aura to trap a portion in our souls, adding to our power. It changes the nature of our Madra, and over time it teaches your core to generate Madra of that aspect. And then he asked about pure vital aura, and Orthos is like, there are more aspects of aura than sparks in a wildfire, but they always take some form, always. Asking for pure for pure aura is like asking for dry water.
Yeah.
And asking about ruler techniques, and because Madra controls aura, there's not a like pure Madra ruler technique, basicling.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Or at least that's how it, seems.
Right.
Yep. So then he's telling Lyndon about the ruler technique for like Blackflame and stuff, and like why it's useful, like why it's more useful than just like fire aura or whatever. So he's talking about like the difference between like fire aura and then fire and destruction, which is like Blackflame.
Right, yeah.
Or whatever. And like he does this like whole description of like what he calls the Void Dragon's Dance. In one moment the flames devour everything on the battlefield, leaving only smoke and dust. But yeah.
Yeah.
So going into that.
Yeah, I don't quite remember that. He does talk about like being on like a battlefield and like everything kind of like going up in flames.
Yeah. I can read it if you want.
Yeah.
Imagine you have finished a battle. Your breath has driven your enemies before you, and now their corpses lie smoldering in the field. Smoke and flames rise in testament to your power, and courage has left your foes. They flee. You know you cannot catch them all. A dark, twisted root... they trip over the burning bodies of their comrades as they run, but there is no flight from your fury. And in a great explosion of heat, the root burst into flames. Lyndon had to take a step back. The fire reached the ceiling and filled the tunnel in an instant. It was not the healthy orange of natural flame, not the dark stain of black flame, though it was spotted with the odd blotch of black or red. And then Void Dragon's Dance.
Yeah.
Yep. Basically, we're doing that at a distance.
Right. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
So with how ruler techniques work, would like the black flame or already have to like kind of be there, or like Madra like be there, because like you use Madra to affect aura and things to like make the technique happen. So it's like after you've already been like shooting black flame everywhere, then you can sort of like make it like flare up all around you.
Then you basically like build it up.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, but there already has to be
some around from you, like setting stuff on fire with your shit before.
Yep.
That makes
both
sense.
Fire and destruction.
Yeah. Because if it's like I guess if it's just like fire that's just sort of sitting there contained, it has to be like
destroying things. Yeah.
Which fire is always kind of destroying things, but
right. So there is like some, but it's just like balance wise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, and it's like the black flame is instead of a healthy orange flame, it's like red and black.
Yeah,
or
red
whatever.
and black. Yep. In one moment, the flames devour everything on the battlefield, leaving only smoke and dust. As long as there's enough fire around to begin with.
Yeah. So you gotta kind of like set it up first.
Yeah, and as long as you have enough time.
Yeah.
Taking control of aura takes time and concentration. You can toss striker techniques with every breath, but a widespread ruler technique takes time to build.
Yeah, because I think about like Yaren's ruler technique is like Path of the Infinite Blade.
Yeah, Path of the Endless Sword.
Path of the Endless Sword, and then it's like all blades are one.
Yes,
and
then,
like, they all the like blades around just like start cutting all around them. It's interesting.
Yep. Yeah, so then Orthos takes him to this like the smaller dragon skeleton in this tunnel. Like they've been walking down this tunnel. And it's like full of black fire. And so he it's basically a wellspring of Blackflame energy. And so he's supposed to cycle here for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Basically, with this, like, big, like, power, like, big Blackflame power.
I feel like that's something the series, like, does sometimes, where it's just, like, and 3 weeks, you know? It's just, like, little skips here and there like that.
It does that, Which, like, I enjoy, because, like, it's training and stuff, like, it's going to take time, so it's not just, like, you know, instant power up. It's like, okay, and then we don't need to watch him do this for 3 months, you know. We can skip, you know.
Yeah, I do feel like that's something that, like, in a lot of epic fantasy can end up getting sort of, like, bogged down in. And it's like, because I feel like there's also sort of, like, a balance.
Yeah.
Because there has to be a balance of, like, because we're just sort of, like, skipping over it, it can still sometimes feel like we're just kind of, like, instantly powering up, even though it's, like, a lot of time in thing has passed.
Yeah, you have to make it feel like either the world has moved or, like, just, like, stuff has been happening.
On. Yeah.
Instead of just, the world stopped while they trained for a certain amount of time, and then we pick up and they're different, but
everything else is the same.
Yeah. But yeah.
Yep.
Cycle for 3 days, and the next 3 days, not 3 weeks. Why did I say 3 weeks? God,
yeah, because I was like, damn,
crazy.
3 weeks, that's a long time.
3 days. It's 3 days.
Yeah,
I'm like reading this and like
that makes a big difference.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference. Wow. 3 days he's supposed to cycle here.
Yeah, because I was like, wow, that's a long time.
Nope. Yeah. And then Lyndon's like, I have some questions, and Orthos
is gone.
He's gone. He leaves.
See ya.
Yep.
I gotta go eat more rocks.
Yep. Yeah, basically. And so that's then we switch to Jailong.
Jailong, and he's fucking killing more Jai Clan.
Yeah, basically. This section is like interesting and like good and stuff, but it's mainly like some Aurelius are like being harassed by some Jai because like the Jai are, you know, being all annoying to the Aurelius right now. Yeah. So then Jailong comes and is like, well, sure, I'll do this. And
he's like, sure, might as well just fucking yoink.
Yep. And so then just like takes them out, like and the people around are like, are you gonna deal with their remnants? Like, and he's like, yeah, I got someone coming to pick it up, and they all go about their day. Is like how it's described. Is like everyone's just like, yep, okay.
Like, all right.
Yep.
Whatever that was about.
Yep.
Yeah. See, now I'm thinking about Dark Souls. I hadn't thought about Dark Souls before. Because there's the Dark Wraiths in Dark Souls 1, who they're like, you fight them as just like regular enemies, but they, can do, and you can get this, you can get like the Dark Wraith like hand or whatever, like you can learn the Dark Wraith thing, and you like literally just like grab people and suck humanity out of them, because in Dark Souls you have like humanity as like a stat or like a resource, like it's literally like an item that you take it and then you gain a humanity as like a stat that you can then spend to like do stuff. And so it's like, you can literally go up to NPCs and use the Dark Wraith hand on them and just like suck a humanity out of them, and you can gain like a certain number of humanity from like each of them or whatever. And I don't think it aggroes them, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
But they can do it to you as well. The Dark Wraith enemies can like do it to you as well. And like in the lore, it's like, yep, they just like went fucking crazy, like sucking humanity out of people to use the power, because like in Dark Souls, humanity is like a darkness-based kind of thing. There's like souls, which come from like which are like more like bright and fiery, and then humanity, which is like dark and whatever. And so it's like they use the power of darkness by just like sucking humanity out of people, and then eventually they're like, this is getting out of hand, and flooded the city.
All right.
They're like, wow. Shit's getting bad here in New Londo. Fucking Dark Wraiths.
Let's make it worse.
Let's just get rid of New Londo. The four kings the four kings got tempted by the abyss, and now there's dark wraiths everywhere. So just throw the whole city out. just flood the damn place.
What city?
What city? There's no city here. And that place is one of like the worst in Dark Souls. It's such an like annoying place to like get through. There's like no bonfires there, so there's like no like checkpoints essentially. And then you like drain the city, and then you like can like access like another portion, but there's no bonfires like in the part that had been underwater.
Oh, okay.
So it's like when you're trying to like get to the boss, it can be a little bit like annoying when you try and do the boss over and over again because you gotta like, get through it. Yep. Yeah, and especially because it's like the nearest bonfire, it's like you're in the Valley of the Drakes, and so there's just like these little drakes that shoot lightning at you, and you just gotta like run across the bridge and into New Londo, and then run through New Londo to go fight the four kings, and you know there's like shortcuts and stuff, but yeah, you gotta like do that, and then you gotta fight the four kings down in the abyss. Literally, you have to have like a particular ring that you need to wear. Yeah. And then you like go down these steps until the steps run out, and then you just like jump off and fall, and then you're just falling and falling, and it becomes literally pure black all around you, and then you like land, and then the four kings just kind of like show up and start coming at you. And they definitely like having like played Dark Souls first and then watched the Lord of the Rings movies, which I haven't seen all of them. I'm like, oh, they're the fucking like ring wraiths. Like whenever we see like the ring wraiths like doing the thing to like Frodo or whatever, and you see like sort of like they're like, because they used to be like the kings of men or whatever who got turned, and you see them as like ghostly like king form. I'm like, that's the four kings from New Londo, and then you know they're more like shadowy, like chasing after them forms. Like the dark wraiths don't quite look like that, but still it's like ring wraiths, dark wraiths, the four kings, the kings of humanity, the corrupted by the it's just like
you can see the influence.
You can definitely like see the influence, which specifically. The guy who made the games, he talks about like growing up reading like Western fantasy things like in English, but not fully understanding English, and so he couldn't fully follow what was going on in these fantasy stories, so he just kind of had to like fill in the gaps himself and make stuff up. Which is why Dark Souls is the way that it is. Where it just like drip feeds you vague information, and you have to kind of like figure out figure it out for yourself, and kind of like come up with your own interpretation of what it means.
Because
it's why it's left intentionally vague like that, to sort of like replicate his experience of reading English fantasy as someone who doesn't fully understand English. So like being an American playing this Japanese game and not fully understanding it and having to fill it in yourself, it's the perfect experience. That's also why the games, even though they're Japanese, in the Japanese version of the games, the characters are speaking English. And they're just subtitled in Japanese. Like, the games are natively in English because that's the vibe that he was like going for.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it is super interesting. Yeah, there's like one guy who like whenever he greets you, he goes, "Oi, Shemai," which is apparently like Welsh or something, cause like or like Gaelic or whatever. Cause Matthew Matosis, he's like a Irish like video essay YouTuber kind of guy, and he talked about Dark Souls, and he's like, it's super weird coming across this guy, and he's like, "Oi, Shemai," because like I just hear that sometimes, like people will just say that. And so it's like, but here it's like a, he's like, like a weird old fantasy guy. And it's supposed to kind of give that vibe, but for me it's just like familiar.
Like normal, it doesn't give the same vibe.
Yep, and so it's just kind of funny. And that guy's great. He's the guy who sells you, whenever you beat the bosses, he sells their, like, boss armor and stuff. And he's wearing, like, a weird, like, mismatch of armor, and is, like, selling things to you. So I think the implication is that he essentially, like, you go and beat the boss, and then he goes and, like,
steals their
stuff, and then you can go buy it from him.
That's fun.
It is fun. I think his armor is also based off of, like, one of the English king's armor. It's got, like, little built-in, like, little spectacle-looking things and, like, horns and stuff. Which I think that there's, like, one of the kings of England had, like, armor that was kind of looked like that or something. Yeah. I can't remember exactly. Might have been like King Henry or something, but
yeah,
I'd have to like look it up again. But yeah, it's just like a whole interesting thing. I don't remember why Dark Wraiths and like stealing humanity, and then like Jailong just like stealing people's killing them and stealing their
stealing their remnant, their power, their, you know.
Yep, so just like, yoink, it's mine now.
Yep.
Just stab them and steal their juice. Yeah, because in like Dark Souls, it's just like you have like a glowy hand that you like grab people's faces with, and like you like steal, and then they like fall on the ground, and then they like stand back up, and they're like, oh, okay, I'm fine. I'm just as an NPC.
Yeah,
it's very silly. I'm pretty sure it doesn't aggro them, which is hilarious.
That's funny. So yeah, I'm fine.
No, it's fine. You just, you know, just a little bit of my humanity. Don't worry about it. Yeah. But yeah, and I guess that's chapter.
We go to Yaren next.
Oh, right.
Same chapter, but we're switching people.
Right. For some reason, I thought that Jailong thing was like the end of the chapter, which is silly.
Yep, it's just like a tiny little bit in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's like sparring with Athan with his giant scissors.
Right. Yeah, because she's still struggling with like her master's remnant.
Yep.
Because she's like trying to like listen to it, and it's trying to like give her advice or something.
Yeah, a thought that wasn't her own floated out from her core. She was making a mistake. She shouldn't turn and waste that critical instant moving her body. Instead, she should channel the endless sword through her gold sign and whip it behind her, covering her movement and giving her enough time to turn. And then like the gold sign just obeys without her like even like thinking, and it like pulled her out of line and like completely messed her up.
Yeah,
and it's just like it's constantly causing these problems. And Athan's just like, it's hard enough to quiet one mind, all but impossible if you have to work with two. And Yaren thinks about her unwelcome guest, and goes, 2 would be sugar and peaches. I'm juggling 3. That's 2 more than you have to. Your remnant is not your counselor. It's your resource. You should strip it down and use it for parts.
And then she's like, you know, you don't understand. Like, she's thinking, like, you don't understand. This is like my master, and like, you know, I can't just like use it for parts. You know?
Yeah. Like thinking about that, and he's like, what did you learn? And she's like, well, I learned that like I should have listened to my master the first time, and not, you know, like I should have done it his way.
You know, committed to what it was trying to do instead of, you know, going against it.
And so he's like, we're not going to get much out of like talking about it, so let's go, you know, we're going to go meet with Lyndon for the Blackflame trials. I've taken the liberty of restoring and preparing the 3 ancient trials of the Blackflame family. I think you'll find them invigorating. So it's like, here, you need like a good fight to help you, like,
because he's like, you fucking sword path people, you always just like want to fight through your problems, and she's like, no, that's true.
Yeah, well then, how fortunate for you that you have a teacher who is willing to engage all your preferences and whims.
Is that what you are, Ethan? What was it? Was it our preference and whim to go do the trials, or was that you?
I don't know what you're talking about. I think that was you, probably, right? You probably said that.
That was probably you. I was probably saying, see, but I knew that you would want it.
Exactly. That's very Athan. But I knew that this, you know.
It's like, I know that you'd want this. You want to fight.
Yep.
Yep.
And so they start like going to where that like room is, and it's like quite a long like run or whatever. She's like exhausted when she gets there. It's like this whole like thing. Like, hang on, this is where Lyndon went. And she's like, what am I gonna get out of a place for like specifically Blackflame and a like lower advancement? Is like, she's kind of like, what am I even gonna get out of this?
Right, but yeah, because like this is the thing about the thing is that it's supposed to be like a group.
Yes.
Thing, but there's only like 2 of them.
Yeah.
So it's like a little, you know. Yeah. It's like one person, the Blackflame person, is meant to be like doing it, but then they're supposed to have like a team.
They're supposed to have a group of like 4 other. I believe it's like low golds. I think it's supposed to be all low golds who like worked together. Like basically for their whole life. 1 Blackflame and 4 bodyguards.
Right. And so it's like no, this is still like, you know.
This
designed
is still...
with not just, you know, Blackflame in mind. And also there's supposed to be a team that's going to be just you, and so it's like, you know, it's still.
So it's still tough. Like you still have a lot to do. because she's like, are there 2 courses here? Like, one for Lyndon, one for me? Like, what am I, like, all that.
Right.
And, he also says that there's, like, so, like, the 3 trials, it's one for the signature enforcer technique, one for the striker, and one for the ruler technique. And then the Blackflame Marja is hard enough to forge that they never developed an official forger technique. Basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so then once you enter, the script will seal behind you, and you won't be able to leave until you complete the 3 trials, or until you admit defeat. But where's the fun in that?
Right.
And so, yeah.
And also, it's like, I know you motherfuckers. You guys don't give up like that.
Yep, and so he's like, you'll find food, water, and shelter outside the entrance. And once you defeat the trial, you can retreat freely. No need to take the same test twice.
Right.
And so they're like, how long are we going to be here? And it's like, it's been known to take like months or even years. Like months to like 2 years, basically. So like, you'll be here a bit. But like, I trust you won't spend quite so long. Yeah, so he's talking about the course, like what's designed to work for both a jade and a low gold. And Yaren's shocked because she didn't realize he advanced to jade, and she's like, "Wait, what?"
Like, wait a second, that you feel like a jade.
Yep. Elixirs. Ethan must have stuffed him full of the good stuff.
Yeah, the good stuff. That good turtle juice.
Yeah.
Flaming turtle juice.
And then she's like feeling a little bit like kind of jealous again, because it's like she was glad for him, but her unwelcome guest was tickling at the back of her spirit. If she didn't advance soon, she couldn't keep ahead of it. So she's just like comparing herself to Lyndon, which like these goals are a lot smaller than like her current, like
right. Yeah.
He's able to get through these faster,
Right.
It's not.
But it's still like, normally it takes people like longer.
Yeah, and he's been going through like shortcut after
shortcut,
and
Yep, and she's just like, and she's also like being chased by this thing.
Yes, so she just feels
the pressure.
Yeah, it's like, if I don't stay ahead of it. And so like she knows that she's being like unfair about it in her head, so she's like trying as hard as she can to just like like congratulations. She's like, that's calls for cheer and celebrations, and like is like
forcing a smile.
Yeah, outwardly like like proud of him and stuff, and he's like, super excited because like
he's just like, oh, I'm so happy. He's like, this is so, because like in Suriel's like vision of like his possible future if he like stayed at Sacred Valley, he
eventually got to iron in one of them.
I thought that's
the highest he ever got.
Yeah, it was like iron, and so it's like the fact that he's like at Jade is like crazy.
Yeah, and he goes, the way patriarch is a Jade,
Yeah,
like.
Yeah, because no gold doesn't even like exist.
No, gold is a myth there.
Yeah, gold.
It's crazy because now we've been in this part where like we've just seen golds are everywhere.
Like
basically everyone's gold. If you're an adult, you're a gold.
Right.
Like if you're a teenager, you're probably a gold.
Yep. Yep.
And so like from Sacred Valley, where it's like the
gold
mythical gold is all, it's mainly irons there with a few
jades.
Jades are their highest.
And then they're like a big deal.
Yeah.
Yep. Which is interesting.
Yep.
Yeah, we're like half of one fruit is like a big deal.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, so then he's talking about like the trial still or whatever, and then all of a sudden he's like he realizes that someone's coming, and it's Cassius, and he's like, if I had my way, everything would go according to plan, and that no one would ever surprise me. That sounded like a pretty rotten future to Yaren.
Yeah.
And so Cassius is not happy.
Yeah, no, Cassius is like, you're gonna get these kids killed.
Yep. Do the branch heads know you've opened the course, Ethan? Does the Naru clan? I thought we'd agreed. Obviously, I did not agree. Now I'd like you to leave before you ruin any of the surprises for our new recruits. Yep. So then, Cassius starts to like almost fight Ethan, and Ethan just did something. It doesn't say, and Cassius like started shaking or whatever. I assume it's similar. Well,
Yeah, it's just sort of like.
Yeah, I think it's similar to Jai Show.
Yeah, so like what Jai Daisho was doing. Yeah, because like I do wonder if like the Soul Flame stuff somehow involves like taking other people's shit.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like, you know, if, like, what they're doing is somehow, like, related to that.
Yeah.
Like, I like pulling in their, like, soul shit.
Yeah.
Or just sort of, like, exerting some sort of, like, pressure on them.
Yeah.
Some sort of, like, spiritual pressure.
Yeah.
Through their, like, flame or whatever, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I like it. And, so they're like...
I mean, they're just using Conqueror's hockey.
Yeah. right. Basically.
Yep, hits him with the Conqueror's hockey, you know.
Yeah, and then Cassius immediately just, like, sags and, like, there's nothing I can do about it.
Fuck it.
And so then Ethan just kind of grabs them and is just like, well, you guys have fun with this trial. Also, don't get distracted with each other during this trial because you're like
he's basically like don't be horny teens in the cave together.
Exactly.
And they're just like wait.
He goes, I'm always watching. And they're like what, whatever, and he goes, you're 16.
And then they get like embarrassed.
Yeah. He's like, I'm always watching, now in. Yeah. And so Ethan takes Cassius with him, and Lyndon and Yaren, they just kind of, Lyndon's like, asking like, are you worried about this, just like leaving us here or whatever? They didn't explain anything, and Yaren's like, nah, I'm not worried. Not a special worry, no. She'd been pleased with she'd have been pleased with a few straight answers, but she was used to working without them. Her master treated explanations like they were made of winter steel and crusted with diamonds. You could push into more than a few impossible challenges and you start getting used to it. What itches at me is he's keeping secrets. When my master told me to do something cracked in the head, I marched in step because I knew he could be trusted. Ethan, though, I don't even know what he wants us for. She's like, "What? We won't be much help, like, with the cleaning up the city. Like, what does he want? You know, like,
right.
That's what their main thing is. What do they want us for?"
Right. I wonder. I'm like, what did the Sword Sage do to get her to trust him?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, why did she trust him?
Why did she trust him so much? Because, like, she seems to have, like, trust issues in general. You know, like, she's not very trusting.
She's not very trusting generally. And the only thing that I can assume is that, one, it has to do with her unwelcome guest. And, him teaching her how to, like, deal with that. Like, keep it tight or whatever. And also, like, you know, her whole family died.
Yep.
So I imagine he just kind of, like, swooped in and was like, here's a life.
Yep. Yeah. But we do know that he raised her.
Right.
Like, basically. Like, she did have a family, but, like, it happened, like, young. Like, we know, like, whatever happened, like, she was real young, and,
she got Sasuke'd.
Yeah.
And her whole family died.
Yep. And then she's been basically raised by the Sword Sage.
Yeah, which I'm only just now going like, oh yeah, Sage.
Yeah.
Because, like, in Naruto, Jiraiya's, like, the Toad Sage.
Oh, yeah.
And I know that, like, Naruto goes, Sage mode or whatever. So I'm like, oh, right, Sage.
That's so funny. How did I forget? I've, like, forgotten a huge portion of Naruto. How did I forget all of the Sage shit? That's funny.
Yeah, so I'm just like...
He just, like, unlocked.
It is funny to imagine the Sword Sage as, like, Jiraiya.
Yeah.
Or, like, that they're on, like, the same, like, level or whatever.
Yeah.
But...
Like, Cradle a lot of times does feel very Naruto in, like, in some ways.
Yeah. Yeah, it feels like, you know, we're definitely, like, taking some kind of, like, influence there.
Yeah.
Which, you know, it has, like, a different vibe to, like, Hunter x Hunter. But I know that, like, Naruto takes a lot from Hunter x Hunter.
Yes, yeah.
And so it also has some of that with, like, you know, like, Nen and, like, Chakra and Madara and all that kind of stuff.
He's also a big One Piece fan.
Yeah.
And so there's also...
some of that in there. Yeah, it was sort of, like, the world and, like, the scale and the wackiness of it, you know, in that sense.
Like, I love the way he does scale in, like, the Cradle books. It's one of my absolute favorite. Like, I mean, like, starting with Surreal, honestly. Like, just the scale of, like, that, all of that craziness, and then, like, you know, like, these crazy, like, Serpent's Grave, these crazy, like, big bones. I love this, like, giant, like... Yeah,
because it's, like, I always remember, because it's so funny, because, like, Strider? Something Strider?
North Strider.
Because, like, he gets name dropped.
Yes.
During Surreal's whole, like,
yes.
showing...
Northstrider, Path of the Hungry Deep.
And it's, like, that guy stood out as, like, the one that I kind of, like, remember. That guy, and then there's, like, someone with, like, armor.
Yep.
There's, like, a couple people with, like, armor and something about...
The 8-Man Empire.
Yeah. Whatever that's about.
And Shamiara and the 9-Cloud Court.
Yeah. So it's, like... Northstrider, I remember just, like, the diving down and fighting monsters in the ocean. Yep. My path is the path of going down and beating the shit out of ocean monsters. It's just funny to me.
Yep.
Yeah. The path of the hungry deep. I eat them. I eat the sea monsters down there and gain their power. I don't know, which feels very, like, you know, like Rayleigh or some shit.
Yeah.
Swimming the column belt.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's who it really is. It's not Kaido, it's Rayleigh swimming in the calm belt. But you know, I mean that fits for Kaido too.
Yeah.
Kaido is a fish after all.
Right.
Yeah. Because they never explicitly say that, but I assume that the reason why Kaido is a fish is because it means that he can breathe underwater.
Yeah.
So that he can't just drown himself. Yeah. Because that would be an easy way.
To just, Because
if he's looking to die, throwing yourself off of a sky island, dude, just throw yourself in the water. You can't swim, you're devil fruit user. But you have a fish devil fruit. Yep. So maybe that means that, like, you can't drown.
Yeah.
Which would be funny. But they don't explicitly say that, but I do still feel like that's part of the implication.
Yeah. Because I think it kind of is.
Because it makes sense, because it's like, oh, the, like, you know, the myth of, like, the carp going up the waterfall to become a dragon. So, like, it makes sense from that perspective, but, like, we know that, like Ryu no Mis exist. Like, dragon fruits.
Right.
You know, because that's what, like, the dinosaurs are, but then also we see them, like, even again later.
Yep.
And so it's like, so why is he the fish? And I'm like, well, it has to be so that he can, like, breathe underwater so that he can't just drown himself. But then they never explicitly state it. So I'm like, so is that true?
Right. We're gonna have to put Wano spoilers. For this episode.
Yeah.
Specifically.
I guess so.
Because that is something that people care about.
That is?
Yep.
Yeah, the fact that he's like a dragon.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so we'll put Wano spoilers for
I'm
this.
just, like, so used to it.
I know. It's been so long now. Like, it's just so in there. But, like, that is one that people care about.
Yeah.
I know. I didn't care about it. I knew it before, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, because, like, it doesn't... I feel like that doesn't really, like, affect anything.
No, it's just, like, a cool reveal, like, when you see it for the first time.
Right, it's like, you know, it's like, oh, like, a spoiler that, like, Crocodile got the Saiyan fruit.
Right. It's basically just, you know, like, I mean, some people, I feel like, think that way. Like, with, like, anime openings and stuff, they're like, oh, this person showed their power, or whatever. So, you know, like, this person, you know, like... And
so that's a spoiler.
Yeah,
and it's just like, yeah.
There is one... Like,
there is one, like, big spoiler opening.
It's so bad.
Yeah, like,
who did that?
It's like the last one in Alabasta.
Yeah, who did that?
Yeah, like...
It's a bad idea.
Like, that one is actually, like, quite the spoiler, you know?
They didn't even do the coy, like, keep her in the dark, or, like, just keep her away from the rest of the crew. Nothing.
No, like, you could sort of, like, make it be like, oh, that kind of implies once you, like, know, but, you know. And I'm just thinking about the second JoJo's opening.
Yeah! Yeah, because I realized until, like, I didn't realize what it was talking about until, like, that... Until it happened.
Yeah, because there's, like, a thing in the opening that's, like, it's just, like, oblique enough.
Yeah.
Where it's, like, you know, like, Jonathan's, like, wearing the headband or whatever. Yeah. And it's, like, sure.
It's like, oh, sure, he's wearing that. Like, you don't really think about it. And then then you see it after it happens, you're like, fuck.
It's like, oh, it's like, you see Jonathan, and he's, oh my god.
Yeah.
It's just, like... cinematography.
Yeah. It's great.
See, and that way we can avoid, you know. Yeah. Like, do we need to label like part 2 spoilers?
I think we should be fine.
Yeah. No, like we don't need to do that. But it's just like it's also funny because like part 2 is one of the like parts that like part 2 is so good. But, like, people are always like, oh, you know, like, if they're gonna skip to, like, part 3.
Yeah.
And then, like, there was the whole, like, Mother's Basement watch order that everyone got mad about. Did you hear about that?
I did. Because I saw the video when it came out.
Yeah. Because, like, I watched that video.
Yeah.
Maybe that's it. Maybe partially you just, like, know some of the JoJo stuff.
Yeah, maybe.
Because it's like, because figuring out where you got to in JoJo's
is almost impossible. I have odd memory of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that one's on our list.
Yep.
That we need to like watch.
Yep.
But we need to get through Haikyuu first.
Yeah.
And we need to get through Mob Psycho so we can then watch Nerdy's Mob Psycho videos because we're behind on those.
Yep.
Yeah. But also like Alicia's got like JoJo's reactions.
Yeah.
And so like I'm like that could be like a fun way to kind of like watch them.
Yeah, I feel like that'd be fun.
Yeah, especially for like the parts that we know that you've already seen.
Yeah.
That could be a fun way to sort of like
the first like few.
Yeah, like the first few parts you've definitely
for
watched,
sure the first 2 parts.
You've definitely watched parts
sure.
1 and 2, and then you've definitely seen part 3 up to a certain point. Yeah. But where, I don't know. And maybe you even got to the beginning of part 4 because you're like, I feel like I kind of remember Josuke and liking Josuke.
I feel like there's like bits like when I hear about like I'll hear people talk about and I'm like, no, but I've seen that in 4. Mm-hmm. But then there's other bits before those bits that I'm like, I don't remember. Know. I've never heard of that. Yep. So like I fully don't get I don't know what happened to season 3 and 4.
Mm-hmm.
I think it might have been
Yes. Yep. So it's a whole mess. But we should we could watch like Alicia's like videos to like kind of like get back to like where we were.
Yeah.
But yeah. I guess Cradle.
Yeah, we were talking about Cradle.
I guess we were talking about Cradle at some point.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we finished that little section with Yaren and Lyndon or whatever.
Yeah. Because then we like move on to what's like
Cassius.
Right.
We get his perspective getting taken to the control room for the Blackflame trial.
Right. And then, like, he and Ethan have a bit of a conversation where, like, Ethan kind of, like, opens up a little bit.
Well, in this one, I think he's... Yes, you're right.
Yeah. Yeah, because I figured that'd be here because I don't know where else it would have been.
Yeah, no, you are right. Because this is before he fully takes them up there.
Yeah.
I forgot that this happened before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because I was thinking, I don't think he's at the so I was thinking, like, oh, I didn't know that part was, like, in the, like, control room.
Yeah.
Yeah, just getting it a little... Yeah. But yeah, no, because Ethan's like, actually, I don't fully know what I'm doing, and I feel kind of, like I hope that I'm doing the right thing, but, like, you know, it's all a lot to...
Yeah, they're arguing about the trial and stuff, and it's like... Yeah. And, like, so we get a bit more about Cassius... and, like, why he's indebted to Ethan and just, like, how he feels about that with, like, marrying Jing. And stuff like that. So he, like, he feels indebted to Ethan, but also, like, frustrated and, you know, all that. Yeah. And there's also a bit of... Cassius knew that Ethan had grown up in Blackflame City, but they had never met. He had never even heard of Ethan Aurelius until 6 years ago when the man stumbled through a portal to the other side of the world, already an Underlord.
Yep.
And Life and Blood artists confirmed he wasn't far past 30, which is like crazy because normally Underlords are like way older. Being a young Underlord is
it's like a big deal. Yeah. And this is part of why I'm like he's secretly some other shit.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, he just like fucking appeared out of a portal one day.
Yep.
And fucking like, yep, I'm Aurelius Underlord, and you've never heard of me, but I am from here, but also I just appeared out of a portal one day.
Yeah.
And I'm just like,
what?
And I just appeared out of a portal one day, and I was super powerful and cool, and
immediately got put in charge.
Yep, and I'm just like, you've got something going on.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. Yeah, and he has the potential to advance to Overlord, a stage only the Emperor Naruto had currently reached. I've never read Naruto. I've only heard it, and so like I looked at it, and for a second I was just like,
oh no.
I was like, wait.
Time slows down. How do I pronounce this word?
I'm like, wait, okay, I know the Emperor's name, Naruto.
Emperor Naruto.
Yeah. Yeah, I love. During the time Cassius had known him, Ethan had behaved like a child playing with toys, like a rich man indulging in his idle whims, like a genius in the grip of his eccentricities, and very occasionally, like a powerful and dignified Underlord. And, but now Cassius found himself watching a new side of Ethan. He looked weary, uncertain. We settle for so little. We protect what we have instead of reaching for more. And even when the door is open, we refuse to walk through it. Cassius, I can take this family through that door. I can drag the rest of them, kicking and screaming, into a future better than you or I could ever imagine. but I can only see so far. I think that these two could be the sails that carry us far beyond the Empire. But what if I'm wrong? I could squeeze this family dry, betting on a glorious payout 50 years from now, and the Jai could devour us tomorrow. I feel blind.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep, and so we get like a little moment like that, and I'm like, and there's still a part of me that's like primed to be like, how true is this? Like,
we were not in Ethan's head.
We were not in Nathan's head. So it's like, does he just know that this is
the best way to talk to him right now?
Yeah, you know, and like I wouldn't be entirely surprised, but it is like nice to have like a sort of like genuine moment with him. But there's a part of me that's still like, he could still be playing a game here in some sense.
It could be both.
Yeah,
like that's kind of like using this moment of being genuine.
Yes, that one,
and knowingly doing that.
Yes, that's. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm like trying to. Yeah.
I love Ethan. He's such an interesting. Like, 'cause everyone has such a interesting view on him.
Yeah.
And like we're in his head sometimes and stuff, and that's always fun. But I just like seeing different people's
perspectives on Ethan.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we're like in Cassius's perspective for this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And so that's the end of chapter 11.
Yep. Yeah. That's good.
We ready to move on?
Yeah.
Chapter 12.
Chapter 12.
It's time to start the trials.
Yeah, it's from my words are not words. They've started to get worse and worse as we've gone on today.
Yep, they immediately failed you.
Yep. The problem is that as I start speaking faster and faster, and I like want to like I'm like thinking and trying to like talk as fast as I'm thinking or as fast as I'm reading, which is not possible.
Right. Yeah.
And then I trip over my words and it's all over the place. And
yeah, so they're just like living in a cave.
Yeah, basically. They get to like see their new like area. They're like, okay, well this water doesn't smell great, it smells like sulfur. But this is what we have. Yaren thinks it's safe to drink, so that's good.
Yep. Yeah, and then like the food, like
they got like
eating like frogs or something.
Crabs.
Yeah. Right. And Yaren's like, I can do this. I can eat this. And Lyndon's like, ugh, is this even food?
Yeah, and they find like some berries that like might have some spiritual aspect or something to them or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just remember because like we're in Yaren's perspective and then Lyndon's just like, ugh.
Yeah. I think they actually eat it later, but they're like talking about where, to find it and all of that. But yeah, that's...
Yep, it's like, so I guess we'll have food and water while we're just like living in this cave, not boning. We were expressly told not to do that. Not that they're like sitting here itching to to jump each other or anything.
And they each like grabbed like their own like little like cave to have their own like little rooms. There's like 5 like since the course was meant for 5 people, they each take one. Yaren at the front of her like thing plants like a row of swords so she can cycle sword aura because they'll build up sword aura. So that's for like little cycling area. Lyndon doesn't need to set one up because he's in this Blackflame area that has like a lot of it around him anyway. He can just cycle it.
I do... This isn't going to be related to that. I do just like feel as the series has gone on, I've gotten like I could still see this definitely not being the case, but getting the sense that there could end up being a sort of like Yaren Lyndon romance. Yeah. I can definitely
they've definitely like
made some little kind of like hints that could be a thing. In part, like the joking about like you two behave, but also just like as Lyndon has like advanced and stuff, Yaren is like, oh, he's like kind of like tall and kind of rugged a little bit.
Like he's looking like a real sacred artist. He's looking like he could handle himself, like he could do, like
nothing like the only thing that gets Yaren actually going is battle prowess. I don't even think gender comes into it for Yaren. It's just
probably not.
It's just pure battle prowess. It's like, but they're like getting ready. There's so the funny thing about this is that Yaren can't read.
Yep. Yeah. So they go to like read like the first lab about like the Blackflame trial, and Lyndon's like reading it out, and he's having a hard time with it because it's actually written in an older.
Yes, it's like written in like the ancient script or whatever.
And he's like, oh, I was like fortunate enough to like learn it, and he thinks that she just can't read it because it's like ancient. So he's trying to like teach it to her, like, oh, it's actually really similar to like what we read now.
And she's like, wouldn't make a difference.
Nope.
Straight up illiterate. Don't need to learn how to read till you fools, while you were studying the language, I was studying the sword.
Yep, exactly. Yep. It goes, does it make a lick of difference? Can't read my own name. And Lyndon is like shocked and like he's like, I don't want to like embarrass her. Like, let's just move on. Like, I don't like, what do I do with this information? Like, he's a bit like thrown off. And he's like, I'm sorry. Did the sword sage not not much writing to be done with the sword? She said in a deliberately casual tone. And just like kind of like trying to like, like, so what?
Yeah, so it doesn't really like matter.
Right.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if like she'd like kind of gotten
kind of like
made fun of, or like, like some sort of something like that.
Yeah.
And so she's just like, don't need it, like kind of just puts that like.
Right, which is so funny because like I know that like in the past on the podcast we've talked about like whether or not certain characters can read, because there's been that sort of joke with like One Piece, like, and it's like they can all read for sure. But there's a little bit of that with like I think we talked about that with like Wheel of Time.
Yeah.
Like how many of these
can read?
These country kids can read, and the answer is all of them. All of them can read because they had books and stuff.
Yeah.
But then like we finally get Yaren who like straight up just like nope, can't read.
Can't read.
But she can read the like cycling like charts or whatever.
Yep.
Like the actual like diagrams on like how the cycling and like the Madra control stuff like works. She's like, that I know.
Yeah, she can easily like
decipher
read,
that.
Decipher that or whatever. And Lyndon looking at it is like, I like have to struggle through like he can see like some of like the picture instructions, but I think there's more detailed stuff that he's not quite getting.
Right. Yeah. Sort of like the like diagrams of like how it's supposed to like flow and stuff. That means something to Yaren, but not to him. Because that kind of stuff was actually like useful and important for teaching sacred arts kind of stuff. Because she's just been learning sacred arts.
Yes.
And like combat sacred arts specifically. So she's never learned any of these sort of like administrative kind of stuff that like say another family that has like regular people like they're all golds, but also like these people have like jobs that require them to like exist in society and know how to read. Meanwhile, Yaren's been sitting in a circle of blades in the snow because her master left her there when she was like a child.
From what we've heard, she's just traveled with her master and he was teaching her sacred arts. That's it. Like,
and that's it. It's just like and you don't need to read to do that. So it's just like it makes sense. And it's just kind of like interesting, and because the thing about Yaren is that like she's not stupid.
No,
like her literacy isn't a matter of like because so often like a character being illiterate can be the sort of like thing about like, oh well, they're stupid, but she's not stupid. It's just that she has like a different set of skills.
Yeah, she just was never taught.
Because it's a learned skill. If you don't learn it early, it gets harder to learn in the future. Nerdy. That's an old one. That's a bit of an old one. I haven't harped on Nerdy for his illiteracy take in a while.
I can't read a word, but you see these pictures on most old path manuals. I had more talks about cycling theory with my master than we had hot meals.
Yeah, because he's like translating the name of this
yes,
it's like, is it an enforcer technique?
Yes, it's their enforcer technique, and he's trying to translate it, and it's the fierce flaming.
Yep.
So he goes, black fire fierce outer robe. that has a nice sound to it, doesn't it? The legendary Blackfire Fierce Outer Robe technique. Well, what would you call it? Couldn't tell you. Can't read a word of it.
It's like it's a flame cloak.
Yeah. And so then he's going over like the history and stuff.
And and I also enjoy his little like translation thing.
Yeah, it's fun
because there's like a little bit of like linguistic fun in there.
Yep.
About
well, this section at the top is a simple sequence. It explains the history of the Black Flames. And then when the humans came to this land, dragons ruled. They burned through all opposition, ignoring all defenses. No one could stand against them. Finally, I think this means great disaster came to the land from the west, bringing the dragons down from the sky. And that was interesting. Sacred Valley's to the west.
Yep. Yeah.
And the Sacred Valley and the Desolate Wilds. There were no pictures illustrating the great disaster to his disappointment.
It's whatever came out of those the shit that's like, you know, the gates, the like.
Yeah,
the labyrinth.
Yep.
That's
and they have like the 4 beasts on the door.
Yeah, it something to do with that. It's either one of those beasts or it's fucking what's his fuck who like came out of there. Because I'm like, Azrael maybe came out of there or some shit.
Yeah, we've heard
like he emerged from a labyrinth or something one time.
Yeah, we've yeah.
Yeah, and so I'm like, maybe
yep.
something Azrael something. Because I mean, we do in this like section. I don't know if it's this chapter, but in this like section of chapters that we've read,
right.
we get like a serial.
Yes, we do actually. Next chapter.
Yeah. We get like a surreal thing that like talks about Azrael a little bit, and so it's like I'm just like
we will talk about Azrael.
Yeah. So it's like I'm always just like what's up with Sacred Valley? Why is Sacred Valley like this?
Yep.
It's so much weaker than everywhere else, but it's also like got this like, you know, it's like it's protected, it's like safe.
Yep.
It's so safe that it gets to be weak, but then also it's like I don't know, like what's going on? What's going on there? Yeah. How could these
also
jades
like
kill the
Jai Long
sage?
said it was like cursed or something.
Like, protected by like a curse. And it's like what curse? What's that mean?
Right.
Does this have anything to do with like fucking Elder Whisper or anything? Because like how strong is Elder Whisper in the grand scheme of things? You know? Because he can like see the future.
Right.
He can like see the future and also is not contained at all.
No.
By their like shit, which is funny, you know. And partially I'm like, well, yeah, like now I'm like, yeah, you're a bunch of irons and jades. Of course you can't. Of course your shit's not containing.
Yes.
The Elder Whisper, you know, like, but like, could golds do it?
Right.
Could underlords do it? Like, how powerful is Elder Whisper? Right. You know,
like comparing them like outside the valley.
Yeah, because like I'm like, man, like if someone just like made. If one of these fucking jades, if like the jade of the Way Clan was like, hey Elder Whisper, I'd like to make like a bond with you, a pact for your power, he could probably become gold. Yeah. I assume. Yeah. And given Elder Whisper's like power, like you know, just like Yeah. And so I'm like, that's kind of interesting. Yeah. As like a thought. Like is someone going to bond to him, you know? Is Lyndon gonna bond to Elder Whisper at some point? I think that'd be kind of fun, but also it'd mean that he doesn't get to have a pure Madricore anymore. And so it's like, you know, which is what allows him to use the Blackflame thing
kind of
like
the whole
burning
thing he's
himself
doing
out.
with his Blackflame.
So I could almost see it like happening later in a like last ditch kind of thing, and like this will destroy me, but and you know, for whatever reason I like have to do this, you know. Because that feels appropriately like dramatic and also thematic. It ties back in with like his home stuff, you know. And also that path always it feels very Lyndon because it's dreams and like illusions and trickery, which is very Lyndon's speed, and so it's just like it would make sense, but I could also very easily see it not being that. You know, but it's just like it's an interesting thought I've had. Yep. Yeah. But yeah, so they're like checking out the trial, and like the trial is supposed to teach him how to like use the black cloak thing. Yep. And he's like, all right, I'm gonna try this like technique or whatever, and he doesn't kind of like feel anything. Yeah. And then but then Yuan's like, holy shit. Yep. And then she's like, do it again, but like look in a mirror. And like he sees like this like red haze like come up in his eyes, look like weird, I think. Yeah. The dragon advances is also on. Right, yeah, the dragon advances. Yeah, because they have the fierce fire robe. Yeah, and it's like, oh, it like burns you from the inside and stuff. And it's like, well, that would explain why he needs the blood-forged iron body to handle this.
tries it out. And then Yaren's like, well, like, why don't you try out the technique then? Come hit me, or whatever.
Yeah.
And, so he, like, launches towards her, and he, like, breaks his ankle. Like, he, like, destroys his leg in the jump, like, goes way too far, like, scrapes his face all up. It's described, like, it's, like, he's, like, all fucked up.
Yeah.
It's, yeah, when he kicked off, it sent a pain flaring in his knees. The ground exploded behind him, and wind rushed by his ears as he launched into the air. Lyndon had an instant to scream before he slammed face first into the packed dirt a dozen feet behind Yaren. Dirt ground into his eyes, into his lips, between his teeth. And it's like, yep, and he, like, yeah.
For some reason, like, in my head, I see Lyndon as kind of like, what was his name, Mako from Legend of Korra? The firebending brother?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because there's, like, firebending brother
and the earthbending.
Yeah, Bolin was the other one.
Yeah.
For some reason, I kind of, like...
see him as, Mako.
Yeah.
Mako. God.
Yeah, because also it's, like, the, like, clothes that he wears.
Yeah. I
can almost kind of, like, because they're, like, for, like, playing in that way.
Yeah.
And I'm just, like the dark hair.
The dark hair,
and he's, like, kind of, like, tall and, you know...
Yeah.
Somewhat built, so...
I can see that.
Yeah.
I love that. Yaren's talking about the technique. Well, isn't that a kick in the pants? You always have to get used to a new enforcer technique, but bleed me like a pig. It looks like you strapped a couple of lightning bolts to your legs. And it basically went through, like, all of his mantra, like, super fast. Like, to heal him, like, just using the technique, like, strains his body, like, a lot, and he is constantly using.
Yeah, he Deku'd himself.
Yep, very much.
Yeah.
It's, this fierce burning outer robe cost me more than I thought. First thing, we're not calling it that. Burning cloak.
Burning cloak.
The fierce character is core to the reading of the name, and there's a different symbol for rain cloak than for a sacred artist outer robe.
which I'm like,
yes.
it's Chinese. It's just, you know, it's like, or kanji, you know, it's like, the like, oh, this symbol has, like, a particular semantic meaning, and so it's like, you know, it just, because it's like, oh, symbols with semantic meanings strung together to form a word like that, I'm like, it's like, you know, it's logographic, like Chinese or like kanji for Japanese, although kanji for Japanese is literally just Chinese, except it's, you know, been changed a little bit because, you know, time apart and whatnot. Because, like, the word kanji literally means Chinese character.
I don't think I knew that for some reason.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, like, it literally just means, like, Chinese character.
Yeah.
And some of the, like, kanji versus Chinese, like, the symbols that are, like, the same will still be, like, slightly different. They'll, like, look a little different. But yeah, it's just like, it's got a similar kind of thing going on. It's like, no, but the fierce is core to the reading. It's just so like, I love it.
Yep, and then Yaren, like, threatens him.
Yes.
Into, like, no, you're not using that. You're using burning cloak. That's a technique name, not whatever the fuck you just said.
See, because the thing is, Lyndon, is that you got to get better translation. If it's fierce burning, then, like, you got to, like, you know, I'd probably call it, like, Inferno cloak.
Yeah.
You know? Like, or Inferno robe.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Or Infernal, maybe.
Yeah, Infernal robe.
Yeah, Infernal robe. That also is, like, a quippier technique name, while still sort of, like, getting across the idea that it's, like, fierce burning. Like, what's a word for burning or fire that is, like, greater than normal? It has, like, a sort of connotation of that. And so it's, like, you know, inferno, infernal, it's, like, not just fire, but also, like, destruction, so, like, infernal feels very, like, fitting for that. You see, this is what translation work is about. See, think about the next time you watch an anime, or, like, read a manga.
Yeah, that's why the localizer, like, haters are...
It's
just, like, don't know how language works. They're just a little dumb.
Like you just gotta, like, think about it, because, like... You know, Lyndon's over here, like, but, like, it's fierce burning outer robe. It's like, yeah, but that sounds bad. And so, like, this is always the compromise that happens when manga and shit are getting, like, translated. Always. Actually, like, I need to find these and, like, maybe show them to you. But someone, like, did this video talking about, like, the Bankai names in Bleach.
Yeah.
It's like they just don't get like translated because they're so like hard to translate. Yeah. But it's like they're essentially just like little poems.
Oh yeah.
You know, where it's like they're so like double meaning or like you know. Have like layered like reference, and it's like, well, this word means this, but it specifically has the connotation of like this, and so that
so like how do you translate
with that this you know, it's like forming this like kind of like new word, but like it has a connotation of this thing, and you know, it's a whole thing. And that's the trouble with translation. You can never, if you were to do a truly perfect translation, it would sound weird. Especially, like, you know, because, like, word order is different with Japanese. Yeah. You gotta put the verb at the end for everything. Not always, but for the most part. You know, it's like, sort of, I will be king of the pirates. It's, like, pirate king, I will be. Yeah. You know, it's more like how Luffy says it. But, you know, if you say, like, pirate king, I will become! It just doesn't... Yeah, just, like... It sounds wrong. Right, you gotta just be like, I'm gonna be king of the pirates.
Yes.
That's, you know, an appropriate translation. Yeah, so it's just, it's a whole thing. And so I'm just like, I love getting this, like, little tiny, it's like, ooh, a little bit of linguistics. Yeah. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, so, infernal robe, burning cloak.
Yep.
Or burning coat? Cloak? What is it?
Cloak.
Cloak. Yeah.
Burning cloak.
Burning cloak.
Yep. And so then they go to check out the trial for the first time.
Yeah.
He's supposed to, like, light up this crystal with his enforcer technique. He is, like, holding it. Yeah. And he, like, uses the enforcer technique, and it makes the crystal light up. Which, like, starts the...
Which starts the trial. And then he has to just, like, get through to the other side?
Yes, with the crystal still active.
Yeah. And so, like, if he, like, drops the technique...
Yep.
Or, like, the crystal, then he fails. And so it's, like, he has to, like, carry the crystal through while he's, like, being attacked by these, like, dummies, essentially. Like, these, like, dummies that are being controlled.
Yep, these different, we'll get to, like, a kind of description of them in the next chapter. Because we go straight to Cassius, where... Ethan is explaining the trial and like what he wants Cassius to be doing.
Right. Yeah. Because Ethan's like, here's the control room because like you know this thing doesn't like work. I mean, I think it works kind of automatically, but like
so we'll get into it because it's like Cassius doesn't even know this place exists.
Right.
Which he's shocked about.
Yeah, because it's like, oh yeah, we know about this like trial area, but like the fucking like control room was completely like
it's like
unknown.
Hidden. It's like in this on the same peak, but around the other side, fully hidden, like from view or whatever. Yeah. And no one knew it was there. And like Ethan got it like up and running and like brought Cassius.
Yeah.
And he's like, How do secrets like this exist in Aurelius like how does this happen?
It's like, I'm better than y'all.
How could there be secrets on Aurelius ground? He's like just shocked.
Yeah.
And like there's a control room with like a far wall made of like glass that's like angled down so they can see like Lyndon and Yaren like at the trial. And then he can like make it zoom in. Which he's, like, super shocked about. He's like, how does this work? Like, what is this? Like, is this even possible? And then he checks it, and it's like, oh, there's a script that activates that, Yep, he activates it. It shows it, like, it shows it as if they were only, like, feet, like, away from him, so I can see it from, like, closer. And fascinated, Cassius ran a strand of his bloodline power through the glass. Scripts only manipulated Madra. They wouldn't be able to change the magnification of glass unless... And he found a light aspect binding intended to allow vision of faraway objects. The script merely activated it and applied its effects to the window. Yeah. So it's just like, he's like... that was still an incredible feat of soulsmithing and scripting, though. How had Ethan managed to restore it? Surely a setup like this one, centuries old, would have decayed by now. So just, like, he's shocked by, like, the soulsmithing that went into this, the scripting, like, everything.
You've magiteched your way into TVs.
Yep.
Into live
into
broadcast.
Live, like, security camera, like, type of, you know.
Yep, which is so fun because it's like, well, we know that, you know, scripts and bindings and stuff can, like, affect, and, like, one of the things they can affect is light. And so, like, it's just, like, that's just how video works, you know? And so, like, it all kind of, like, makes sense and, like, comes together when you think about it. I'm also just imagining, like, you essentially just, like, writing scripts onto wires and then running wires places. Almost, you know? As, like, a way that you can kind of get, like, magical technology in this world. Like, literally just, like, the wires, instead of transmitting, like, Madara or whatever, you just literally...
Just scripted,
just, like, alright, just script.
Yeah.
It's just, like, a fucking rope. But,
Yeah, you just have to run Madara through it.
Yep.
So, showing Cassius around and stuff, Cassie's like, what is this, Ethan? Familiarize yourself with this room because it'll be your sole responsibility for the next, well, quite a while.
Yeah. And
Cassie's like, this course runs independently. It doesn't need oversight. And Ethan's like, that's not true. That's what we've told the Naru clan when they've trained. But, like, no, like, you can ramp it up and, like, actually control it through this place here. It's like, with supervision and direction, the Blackflame elders could truly test their juniors far below. And Cassius is like, I'm gonna have authority over their training, so can I...
Just let them win?
Not? Like... Yeah. Like, and if I want to deactivate portions of the trials, that happily is not within your purview. You can choose when and how to, like, lend your powers. Like, you can either let it run like normal or make it more difficult. Yeah. That's your options.
Yep, those are your only options.
Yeah. If you'd like the authority to decide between making the course slightly more difficult than usual or truly sadistic, then yes. And so it will rest upon you to test the children, push them, hold them in the fire, and hammer them, that they might be forged. And Cassie's like, I'm not going to break them. Like, if you adopted them only to abuse them, I'll report you to the branch heads. And he's like, plus, you don't have time to, like, waste, like, here, or, like, I don't have time to waste here, or whatever. I have to be helping with a Jai, and, like, all of that. Like, there's stuff going on with the family. And Nathan's like, I'm doing that personally now. Like, this is now my job.
Right, yeah. It's like, I'm taking care of the actual, like, patriarch, like, responsibility shit right now. You can actually train them, and you were worried about their training in the first place, so now you are in control, in charge of it, you know, to a certain degree. It sort of, like, helps get kind of Cassius, like, comfortable with the idea in some sense. Which is, like, kind of a smart move on Nathan's part, getting him, like, involved.
Yeah, and then also kind of making this deal. In the meantime, I will make you a deal. If you manage to push Lyndon and Yaren so hard that either of them gives up, I will release them from the trials and Lyndon from his obligation to Jailong. In that case, you will also be allowed to go back to your normal duties in the shortest time possible. So see, the most prudent and merciful course of action is really to come at them with everything you have.
Right. Yeah, because Ethan knows how to, like... push things. Again, it's kind of like what we were talking about.
He gets his way either way.
Right. It's kind of like what we were talking about before with, like, how Lyndon can kind of, like, get his way in, like, a social situation. Ethan also kind of has that power in terms of just, like, you know... I've set it up in such a way where I get my way either way.
Yep.
And Lyndon also has, like, I've set up this social encounter where you have to do what
Yep.
The most polite thing for you to do is to do the thing that I want you to do. You know?
Yep.
So they have, like, a similarness about them.
Yeah.
And so that's chapter 12? Alright. Chapter 13.
Yeah.
We get started with the trial.
Yep. They like try it for the first time. He like lights up the crystal, and like all these like soldiers start to form, like gray. They looked like statues of ancient soldiers, bulky, clad in layered armor and thick shields and swords and spears. So like they all start like forming and stuff. And it's kind of like they're supposed to fight those and get the crystal through the like arch or whatever. Like it has to be like still lit.
Right. Yeah. And he's just like running straight through.
Yep. He's like, well, they're all like still forming. So like, what if I can just like skip through? Or
yeah.
whatever?
What if I can just like run through? Or they're still like being formed.
Yeah. And so he's like trying to like run all the way through on like the first run, and he like then like a big guardian thing is formed, and he like he barely has any Madra left.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, he, like, blocks the technique, and, like, he, like, hits it away, and, like, but it uses a bunch of Madra, so he, like, runs out of Madra basically immediately after he does that, and so they, like, fail the test. And then they, like, still keep fighting them for a bit, I think. Yeah, like, Yaren's still fighting for a bit after, like, the gong sounds, which, like, ends the test or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, he also thinks, like, what, like, the Burning Cloak is good for. He's like, it's good for explosive bursts of movement, punching, jumping, kicking, anything with a sudden burst of force. But for steady strength, for lifting or carrying or running long distances, he would need a different technique. And so he's, like, thinking about what he needs for the...
Right, how he needs to, like, improve
it and stuff like that. And he wants to refine his Blackflame and, you know, practice keeping it active longer and all of that. How fast can I move? How much strain can his body stand? Like, all of that type of stuff.
Keeping it going, but keeping it going, like, at sort of, like, you know, a low trickle so that he's not just, like, immediately, like, pew, and, like, burning through all of his shit right away in, like, a big burst.
Yep. And then he's seeing, like, Yaren fighting or whatever, and he's, like, thinking about, like, he hasn't really seen her, like, fight like this since, like, he was a copper, and when he was a copper, he wasn't able to, like, see.
But now he can see,
but
like,
now he's
all
a jade and stuff, he can, like...
see all the shit that she's doing more clearly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so he's like, this is amazing. It's insane.
Yeah, because he thinks about, like, man, when she was, like, fighting the, like, remnant to, like, get it inside of her. That must have been fucking crazy. Yeah. Because, like, I couldn't, like, see it properly last time, but, like, all the, like, technique stuff that's, like, going on. Yeah.
And he's like, how long would it be till I fight like that? Like, he just, like, wants to, you know, like, fight like her.
Yep.
And then, like, while he's watching, one of the soldiers comes up and just, like, whacks him. It's just, like, and he's like, oh, this construct, like, feels weird. Like, what is this course? And it's just trying to, like, figure out how the course works and, like...
If he can trick his way through this, as is his usual thing. Because he needs to learn how to actually, like, fight.
Yes.
And how to actually, like, do things the quote-unquote proper way for a sacred artist. And Yaren also needs to, like, learn how to be a bit more like... more flexible. But, like, you know, they both...
She very much just wants to fight her way out. Like, any problem, she just wants direct fight my way out.
Yep. And so it's like the trials are probably going to involve like a mix of both.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's like for right now, Linda needs to like learn to not take a shortcut to just actually be able to do the trial.
Yeah.
In some way, you know.
Yeah.
Although we do end up getting a little tricksy.
Yeah. Like he like mostly learns it the right way and then does it tricksy, you know, like he's like,
you know, it's like
because they do it like they do a good job in the trial in those like runs. I think they just got it in their head they want to do it that way.
Yeah. Yep.
But
yeah, and so it's like, all right, we gotta keep on training.
Yeah.
And then Ethan, he was the one who was like running that.
Yep, he was like showing Cassius like how it works and stuff. So I'm like, Ethan, why'd you make that guy just go up and whack Lyndon? What are you doing? I was so mean.
It was funny. Yeah, hard as possible.
Yeah.
Keep your head on a swivel, bitch.
Well, like, the test is over.
Yeah.
It's like the gong sounds, the test is over. Yaren's still fighting, and then Ethan's just like, whack.
Don't let your guard down, bitch.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I lied to you with the gong, but you know, my constructs were still moving.
Yeah.
Fucking.
Go ahead.
Nah, I was gonna just like say it real quick, and then I couldn't remember the name of Syrio Forel.
Oh.
Real quick because I was making
yes.
kind of like a joke to that from our Game of Thrones.
You said Syrio Forel, and I had the first thing that came to my mind was Severo, and I'm like, it's not Severo.
No.
What get this character in your head? Game of Thrones, right?
Yep, yeah. But I was like trying to do that real quick, but then I like, stumbled, and I'm like, nope, and now I've lost the momentum and interrupted you. But yeah, so you're saying...
I don't remember.
Well.
I don't think it was important. I think that's why I didn't care.
But yeah, so it's like Ethan's showing Cassius how to like run the thing. Yeah. Like, here's the controls, here's how they work.
Yeah. And Cassius is like also shocked by her like her skills and stuff. Like watching her fight.
Skills, yeah.
He's
so It's like, she's great.
He goes, he wished he had a dream tablet handy to record the memory while it was fresh. Because he's also a sword artist, and he's like...
Right, yeah. Which is interesting, as far as, like, because it's like the Aurelius... Because it's like, okay, so he's, like, has a sword path, but also, like, because the whole, like, Aurelius, it's, like, a bloodline technique, they call it?
Yes.
So it's, like, is it different from, like, a normal, like, path? Their, like, ability to, like, see things in that way?
Yes. It's specifically...
An Aurelius.
Yes.
But it's like, but why?
Yeah, if you hear something like bloodline technique, yeah.
But, like, why, though?
Yeah.
how do bloodline techniques work? Yeah. Why can the Aurelius family just like...
do that.
Just do that?
Yeah.
If it's not, like, a path thing, then, like... Yeah. Why do?
Why?
Why is it like that? What's going on here?
Yep.
Yeah. So that's my question.
And it seems like some people have different abilities in it. Like, it's... are better at it or whatever.
Yeah, so it's like, what's up with that? I want more on that. Because, like, does the Aurelius have, like, a particular path that they tend to do? Or do they just, like, lean on their, like, bloodline thing?
We haven't heard of a specific, like, path that the Aurelius use other than their, like, bloodline, like, like, senses or whatever.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm just like, I want to know.
I like it.
Yep.
Yeah. And as, like, Ethan's like, well, she might outrank you pretty soon, like, and all of that. And Cassie's like, considering how much we're spending, she better.
Right. Right, considering all the fucking work we're putting into this.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she was the Sword Sage's disciple. It's a big deal.
Yeah, and he's like,
He was the Sword Sage.
Yep.
Whatever the fuck that means.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that. It's like, and the idea that we could eventually actually get some, like, answers to this is, like, compelling.
Yes.
Like, I do feel like we are going to get answers to a lot of these kinds of things.
Yeah.
There's certain things that are like, okay, that's a throwaway thing, but other things are, like, more sort of obviously, like, this is going to be important later.
Right.
Like, when Year and offhands, it's like, oh, it's like winter steel wrapped in diamonds or whatever. It's like, winter steel? What's that?
Right.
I don't know. It's just a thing. In this world. And, like, I don't need, like, an explanation for it. It's just clearly meant to be, like, a thing that is valuable for some reason. And, like, I don't expect to, like, get an answer on that.
Yeah.
But, like, stuff like this, I'm like, this feels like we are going to get an answer for it. And so, like, it's interesting. Yeah.
There is a book called Winter Steel.
Well, I mean, fuck me then. I don't know. Like,
I was just sitting here deciding whether or not to be like...
I mean, if it's the name of one of the books, that's not like a spoiler. No,
I know, it's not. That's why I ended up saying it, but I did just take a second.
Because, like, I knew as I was saying it, I'm like, I mean, there's a possibility that I'm just being stupid right now, but...
Because I almost pointed out Winter Steel. I almost was just like, oh, that's a new thing we haven't heard of.
Yep, and just like, because you just, say shit like that,
Stuff like that comes up all the time, you know? Like,
yeah. I'm just like, Yeah,
that's very funny.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
But yeah. So then they're like, the course only runs while sun's up, so you can be with your family after. But for now, this is what it is.
Yeah. It's not, they can't just do it at any time. They can't just run in and try and do the trial whenever they want.
Yep. So it's and it's also like, if you want, like, push them as hard as you can so you can go back to your family.
Yep.
Then we go back to Lyndon and Yaren, and they ate the food that they're not liking. We talked about earlier, and then they have a bit of an argument.
Yeah.
With kind of the ruts in their thinking that Ethan pointed out earlier with Yaren just like straight through or whatever, and Lyndon's like, oh, I thought maybe we could skip through and find some sort of trick, wouldn't Ethan have been shocked if we beat it in one day or whatever? And Yaren's pissed and is like, he would just send us straight through to if we didn't learn what he wanted us to learn.
Yep.
He wouldn't be happy if you just did it in one day.
Yeah, it's
by tricking it.
Because we have the whole thing with so I just need to make all the lights light up, and then he does the thing, and it's like, see, it worked. Yeah. But it's also but you do need to actually do the the real training, and it would just be that situation again. Yes. You'd be like, wow, congrats on figuring out a thing.
Exactly. Now go ahead.
But now go do it the real way. Yeah.
Yeah. And she's feeling kind of grumpy at him, and we're in her perspectives, and she's feeling a bit like...
Sort of, like, grumpy at, like, herself.
Yeah, but she's, like, kind of taking it out on Lyndon, and, like, you know, well, like...
She's, like, annoyed with, like, the gold sign not, like, doing what she wanted to, and she's, like, you know...
And she's, like, actually, it wasn't Lyndon who was, like, causing me issues in the trial. It was me. Like...
Yeah.
Lyndon was fine. Like, I didn't feel like...
Right, yeah. It's like Lyndon was doing his part of, like, trying to get through the thing with the crystal.
Right.
Like, you know, I'm supposed to be, like, fighting the things, like, protecting him.
Yep.
That's, like, the, you know, the division of this.
Yes. Yeah. And so then she kind of just is like, I gotta go cycle. I gotta go, like, clear my head, and, like, kind of storms off. Mm-hmm. And all of that. She's, like, thinking, like she was on the defensive the whole time. She's like, all, like, my master's remnant wants to do, like, I've only been able to, like, feel in control when I've been attacking with the Sword Sage remnant. Like, that's the only time.
Yeah, it just wants to all-out attack and not do anything else.
Ever since she'd absorbed his remnant, she'd only felt fully in control when she was attacking all out. And so, like, she's trying to work with that, and she's like, her master was trying to teach her a lesson, and he was going to keep his hand on her sword, pulling her his way until she learned what he wanted to teach. This was her last chance to learn from the Sword Sage. Mm-hmm. Besides, she wouldn't admit this out loud, but if she tapped into her master's remnant, his voice would go away. It would just be her and an unwelcome guest in her head, alone again.
Yeah.
So it's just like...
Yep, it's so just, like, so wrapped up in her, like, grief about it that, like, she can't, like...
let it go.
Mm-hmm. Yep. She's got a block.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. You can't channel unless... unless she's going all out.
No defending.
No defending. Defending, that's the best defense is a good offense.
Yep.
You know?
Which is very, you know, like, that's how she's like the Sword Sage was.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, and then we move on to Suriel.
Yes, we move on to a big part of this chapter.
Yes, this is a big deal.
Yep. So, this is, like, the end of Suriel's, like, 6 months. She was given 6 months, before she, like, has to go find Azrael.
Right, yeah.
And so, she's spending that time, like, the worlds, like, or whatever, are going to be completely, like, there will be no one left to save, like, after these 6 months or whatever.
You're right.
So, like, those both time limits or whatever kind of go together. Mm-hmm. And so, this is the end of her time limit. She's saving one last person. Mm-hmm. It's this lady. I'm not gonna say it. I'm like looking at it and I'm like, I actually I'm not confident in Mubaktian.
Mubaktian.
Yeah.
It looks like Mubaktian, and it's in like brackets.
Yeah. Yeah, because her presence is saying it to her. Like, Suriel's presence is saying that to that lady.
Right. Yeah. Interesting. Yep. It's interesting that it's in, like, square brackets.
Yeah.
Whenever, like, the presence is talking instead of, like, normal quotes. That's kind of an interesting, like, stylistic choice.
Yeah. You've been chosen to live. You will begin on a new world where you will work to settle a wilderness. Do you accept this task? And then, like,
press 1 to accept task.
And then she's, like, terrified and runs away. And Suriel's like, well... then she just opens a portal in front of her and just, like, lets her run into it. And she's like, normally, like, we're supposed to get, like, verbal consent, but, like, people normally only don't... like, say no if they're, like, if they realize that, like, this place is about to go, you have to leave, you know, like...
Yeah, it's like, it's fine, just go through the portal.
Yeah, like, technically it's against protocol, but just go, like...
Yep, yeah.
And she's talking about how, like, when she first started saving people, there were, like, lines of millions of people, like, this organized, like, evacuation and stuff, and now it's down to, like, she's been able to find one surviving person every 2 weeks.
Right, yeah. It's like all the, like, stragglers.
Yeah. And she's basically, like... this was the last person. Like, there's not 2 weeks left. I'm not gonna be able to find another one. Yeah. And she's also like, my connection to the way is like super thin here because there's like no people around.
Right.
Because like people connect it to the
way.
Yeah. And so she's using
the way she Lyndon.
So she's using like she says she's using her old powers, not the way.
Interesting.
So she's like trying to like hunt her through this or whatever. As the sentient population fell, the power of chaos grew stronger and the way more distant, which made precisely pinpointing anyone's location almost impossible, at least for an Abaddon. She had relied on her old powers, following the trail of Tion's life force, but the corruption of reality interfered with that as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's like, this is way harder than I remembered.
Yeah.
Maybe she relied on the power of the way too much. She was growing rusty. Yeah, and so she's like, she basically moves this lady over to a grassland on a newly formed world of Pioneer 8089. And there's a moon, but none of the stars have formed yet. That was normal. Iterations started from clustered world fragments and grew outwards like seeds.
Mm-hmm.
And so, eventually that iteration will have stars, but now it is only...
Mm-hmm. It is only a moon.
One planet and a moon, I believe.
Gotcha. Yeah. It's interesting.
Yeah. Yep.
And then she fights some sort of, like, crazy monster?
Yes, when she first, like, finds this lady, she sees this, I'll read it because I really like the description of this.
Yeah, because you're talking about how you like the description.
Yep. Because this is just the kind of the corruption of the two, of Limit and Harrow having, like, collided or whatever.
Right.
Like, merged together. Her connection to the way anchored the world around her to order, for the most part. A fractal distortion in space unfolded into a field of impossible shapes before blooming into a 2-story creature of dark glass. It had the legs of an origami centipede and the body of a black mirage, and it strained her human senses just by its proximity.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's fun.
And I also like the description, like, where she landed. Surya landed on a hard-packed sand next to a lake-sized plate of chrome. In Limit, this had been a piece of a giant machine. In Harrow, a desert. And so then, like, split the difference when they collided.
Right.
And so it's just this big thing of chrome.
Mm-hmm. It kind of weirdly reminds me of, like, the long-term nuclear waste storage thing, where it's, like, one of the ideas, it's like, you know, we're going to bury it out in the desert, and then we're just going to cover it with a large slab of, like, basalt.
Right.
Because it's, like, one, it'll make it super hot and inhospitable, but also, like, hard to, like, dig down into. And just be like, what? Just a huge slab of basalt just covering it. The fucking long-term nuclear waste storage shit is so cool in terms of just, like, visual inspiration. Like, what if we just built a weird mega structure out in the desert on top of nuclear waste to be like, don't come here, it's bad. And surely people won't go, ooh.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
So we also have a little bit more of Serial, like, thinking about, like, her like, what her friends would have, like, seen her as or whatever. Her childhood friends would have said she had the body of an immortal, which was only appropriate since they had died of old age more than 4,000 years before.
Yeah.
And, you know, just, like, more descriptions of, like, Suriel and stuff. Because this is I think the first time she's shown up this book, maybe?
Yeah, maybe?
I suppose I could check.
I think it is maybe the first time that she's shown up this book, because I feel like so far it's all just sort of been like, I mean, maybe we got like a little bit of like information requested, but not anything like really.
Yeah, no, this is the first, like, her first, like, perspective chapter of this book.
Yeah.
Yep. And so
so we get a little bit of like serial description just to kind of like remind us what she looks like and whatnot.
Yeah. And then as she had been doing this, like, hunting for, like, survivors and stuff, she'd, like, felt this like buzzing or like something like hissing at her. Tried to grab her attention, and it's like this message. So once she finishes her, like, her rescue mission or whatever, she goes to check out this beacon.
Right.
And so she follows it or whatever, and then she's surprised that, like, this beacon was like an Abaddon thing, but the sector control didn't know about it, and so she's like, what's going on? Like, this might mean, like, it's like, yeah, so, like, she's a bit confused. She follows it, and then it, like, once she gets, like, close to it, it, like, triggers it. The beacon triggered in response to her weapon, though she could choose if she allowed the razor to respond. And so she's basically like, this means that probably Osriel left something for me. Like, there's no other reason for this. Like, this might even be Osriel's hiding place. And so she's like, maybe I should tell Sector Control, but, like, I don't know, if he's hiding here, he might get really mad at me.
Yeah.
If I, like, call him and I don't know, like, what's happening. And then she sees spatial cracks everywhere and is like, that's only happens in, like, an Abaddon fight. Why are there spatial cracks? This should have, like, caused, like, more issue, like what's happening.
Yeah.
And is like following this like battle all around like the remnants of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally comes across a big like city-sized dome of stone like in the ocean, which is just full of pods, like full of like transparent organic pods in rows for hundreds of kilometers, all filled with people sleeping and drifting in liquid. So yeah, there's like a ton of people.
Yeah, and it's like Azrael's like left like a message behind.
Yep.
And it's like, yeah, I saved all these people.
Yep. Point of origin, Limit. Of course, the Abaddon had evacuated the elite of Harrow, and she herself had saved 1.5 million survivors of the combined world, but no one had saved the population of Limit. Their world was destined to end, so the Abaddon had allowed it, except for Azrael. He'd saved enough to preserve the unique genetics and culture of a doomed world.
Yeah, because this seems to be kind of like Azrael's like thing.
Yeah.
He's like not happy about like how the shit's being taken care of with like, oh, these like corrupted worlds, and like
just leave it to be corrupted to the point where it needs to get completely erased from existence, which is his job. He has to go and
get rid of it. And just like all the like people who like have to die because of it, and just like he wants to like save them, but they don't want to. And
it's so, like it interferes with the pact or something, and it's like
and so that's sort of like the thing that he's like, getting in trouble for. But it seems like sort of perhaps the right thing to do from a certain perspective. And so it's like, what's going on here?
And then she sees like a spray of blood on the walls, and like, in this room, just like what? And then she gets this message, which is all corrupted. It's all like you get like bits and pieces of it, like all of that. And so then she asks her presence to reconstruct the message with like what they know of Azrael and what they know of like what the parts of the message that are already there to reconstruct it.
Right.
And so they do. And she's like, this isn't good news because that means like this message is not about to tell her that Azrael was safe, happy, and ready to return. Yeah. She's like, she's quite upset, and she's like kind of thinking about like she was afraid for Azrael and like how she knew him before she was Suriel.
Right.
He had always been Azrael to her, but there had been a time before she was Suriel the Phoenix. They had been friends.
Right. Yeah, because it's like Suriel seems like almost like a title or something. And so it's like who is she sort of underneath being Suriel is like a big question that I have.
Yeah. And so the message is like a sharing senses, like an experience type of thing.
Right.
Azrael stood before her in his polished black armor, the mantle of Azrael streaming behind him like a boiling cape of shadow, and the white hair running down his back. And so this is like the broken up message. Do you want me to read the message out? It's like just this like paragraph here.
Sure.
Suriel, you're looking lovely today, I'm sure. I'll get to the point, because I have an unexpected visitor who needs murdered. I did not abandon you. I have identified the 16 worlds that will be corrupted while I'm gone, and I've prepared facilities like this one in each. I'm sure Machiel will send Gadriel, and then you will volunteer. If I'm still gone, chaotic interference makes it impossible to predict beyond 16, so go ahead and initiate quarantine. I shouldn't take much longer unless this actually kills me. We have to change Suriel. If I didn't act, it would all stay the same. I don't... The sound cut off, and then she like looked at the blood and whatever, and it's like worried he might be dead.
Yep. So we're getting some of like Suriel's shit, and, like what's going on in this like bigger, wider world of the Way and whatever that means. And I'm like, does that have anything to do with the Way clan? I mean, probably not, because like they're spelled differently, but it's just like...
But it is, the Way family, and then it's like the Way,
I'm just like, this feels suspicious. Bam. Yeah, and so that's it for chapter 13. Chapter 14.
Yeah, so this chapter is a lot. It goes like it's over a long span of time.
Yes.
And kind of just them doing the trial like over and over again.
Yeah, it's mostly a lot of them just like doing the trial over and over again, and so we get like sort of description of like the action and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's like I was talking to you earlier about how it's like a lot of times when we get to these sort of like action-y sort of sequences, it's like they're very interesting, but they're hard to talk about on the podcast, because it's like it's like trying to describe an action scene in like a show where it's like,
but just like verbally,
and so it's like, oh, you kind of just gotta like read it,
you
know, it's like, oh, I could describe like, oh yeah, and then they like punch each other, and it's like really cool,
you
know, the camera goes all like, whoa,
you
know, it's like you just kind of have to like read the description of it, like that's sort of like, you know, the part of it that's like fun, so it's like mostly for our purposes, it's like, you know, they're trying the trial over and over again, they're having a hard time.
And he also like sees the like Sylvan like little blue like after Ethan had
and it's just like what the hell
like sees her and is like feeding her pure scales and stuff, and then they go to like do the trial. So they do the trial like and it's just like faster than the last time basically. So then it goes to like Yaren's point of view or whatever, and like she's kind of thinking how like she's still extremely frustrated because of like her whole like master's remnant and all of that, but she's also like, this would be like actually like a fun time, like a good time, like just fighting like side by side with Lyndon, like she's like so like proud of like, oh, he's like kind of
he's really doing it now,
he's able to like fight side by side with me and I don't feel like like
I have to just like be protecting him the whole time,
and like this is like actually
like kind of fun,
except for the fact that she like still feels like
it's like stuck
with both her uninvited guest and the remnant.
Master's remnant, and her inability to sort of like push forward and like advance.
And so then they also, it's like when they can do the trial, because it takes a lot of Yaren takes a lot of injuries on trial days because it like kind of goes into like
they have to do a lot of recovery after doing the trial.
So Lyndon needs like 3 or 4 days to recover, to like cleanse his like Madra channels from the Blackflame, and Yaren needs 3 to 4 days to get over her injuries. So they can only do the trial every 3 to 4 days. So they feel like they're not like making any progress.
It's like progress is very slow going because it's like Lyndon, his iron body heals him very quickly, but he needs to cleanse his like Madra channels with pure Madra because the black flame stuff just like eats you up inside. And Yaren, her iron body is so good, but it doesn't have that same sort of like healing factor kind of thing. So like she obviously heals faster than like any of us would.
But she heals way slower than Lyndon.
So it's like it just like takes them so much time each time to like try and like restart. And so we get a solution to that. In the form of Little Blue, who's going to be our healer. Our party healer. Our Sakura.
I wanted to go over a little bit like what his progress like with Blackflame is. He like I also love the dragon advances. That was what the Enforcer tablet had said, and those seemed like the words of the Blackflame Madra itself. It wanted to advance like a furious dragon, tearing apart everything before it. If only he could. He just like wants to run through. He's like miserable, but he's like making a lot of progress.
And then of course we find out what the dragon advances like actually like means.
It's
because don't we get that from like Cassius's perspective or whatever? Do we get that this chapter?
There's a lot of back and forth in this chapter. It's kind of hard to
like keep track.
Because like basically we're doing like time blurred and faded away like of like them just trying over and over and over again.
We sort of like montage it.
And then we go to it's been 4 months since Ethan like left Cassius here, so this is like we move forward like 4 months they've been training and such. And so Cassius like he's very like he's got his routine down and everything. I really like this scene, like the cuts to Cassius like watching doing the trial or whatever. And he's basically like, they're not gonna give up. They're not gonna give up. I'm not gonna get them to give up. So like I kind of hope that they do it. I kind of hope that they win. Like, but also I can't let them win. Like, I've got like my competitiveness.
It's like at a certain point the like, oh, I'm gonna like make them give up by going so hard gives way to just like, I can't lose. You know, because he's always like kind of wanted everything as like sort of the head of the family until Ethan showed up. And so he's like, I've always just like wanted everything. I'm not gonna let them fucking win. He just starts getting legitimately like competitive about it.
Which is fun. And I'm pretty sure Ethan probably knew about his character.
You know? Like... But yeah, the thing with like the dragon advances though, because it's like whether or not it's in this chapter, it's you know, it's like he's like Lyndon gets this very like philosophical like mindset about it. You know, it's like the dragon advances. This is the mantra. You gotta like move forward, get ahead. You gotta keep going. And then Cassius is like, the dragon advances. It's just like the instructions for how the thing works. The dragon, aka the person holding the crystal and learning the technique, advances while everyone else
exactly
protects them. it's just a very simple, pragmatic of answer and solution. And so it's like, it's very funny because I'm like, you could, I was joking with you, you could make a religion out of this.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a thing that had a sort of particular pragmatic meaning at the time ends up getting like interpreted sort of philosophically. Right. Which is how a lot of like sort of religious things end up happening. Yeah. You know, which is kind of like funny. It's like, it does mean something to him, and it does like work for him, but it actually like originally meant something else. Yep. Which is how a lot of religion is. Yep. Yeah.
Yep. And so he does realize, so like by accident, that the Sylvan River Seed can cleanse his spirit.
Can cleanse his Madra channels and all that stuff.
And so that means they can try it like more than once a day.
Yep. They can just like go back immediately. Yep. And it like catches Cassius off guard.
Yep. And that's just a fun sequence of going back and forth of him being like panicking, like, this trial isn't even supposed to be up yet. Like, they just, because, like, they go through and deliberately destroy as much as they can without actually trying to, like, get through. Like, their first try, they just try and destroy as much as they can, and then, like...
While it's trying to sort of, like, rebuild itself and, like, get back up again, they immediately go back in.
Yeah, then they cycle for an hour, and Cassie's like, oh, I'm done for the day, and he goes and just is, like, working on other stuff, and he's, like, not paying attention, and then an hour later, they start it again, and he's like,
what the fuck?
It's not even finished building yet. Like, and so then he starts pouring, like, a bunch of his own power into it, and he's like, well, like, at least I can get it, like, through this run. Like, they wouldn't be able to try it, you know, again. And then they can try it again. They try it a third time and just completely break the course.
Yeah.
Dragon advances.
Yep.
Completely.
Woo!
Yep.
And it's like, we did it. Yeah. We were a little tricksy about it, but like we still like did it somewhat like straightforwardly.
We also get Little Blue's name. Yeah. Garen gives Little Blue her name. We've like mentioned it, but we haven't like...
Oh, just the name Little Blue?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like... A name?
A name, yes. The name, like, instead of, like, the Silver River Seed, we've been calling her Little Blue this whole episode because...
Yeah. That's right. I just kind of forgot. Yep. You know? That's like, oh, technically it's like, oh, that's the name that, like, Yaren gives her.
Yeah, Yaren's like... Because she just, like, calls her, like, hey, like, give me Little Blue for a second or whatever. And it's like, Little Blue? What do you
we gotta call it something.
Yep,
and this is gonna be our little healer, and I made some sort of prediction about this in the past. I don't remember exactly what I said, but I'm like,
it was like with like talking about Sakura and stuff.
Yep, like who's gonna be the Sakura of our group? Who's gonna be the healer? We party comp.
Yeah,
we gotta have party composition. Yeah. Yaren is DPS, and Lyndon, I guess, is our tank.
Yeah, because he can, like, take a lot.
Because he's got the, like, Bloodforge Iron Body.
As long as he has Madra, he can, like...
Yeah, he's like... Because, like, truly, like, what he should be is, like, support caster. Considering he's all, like, tricksy and stuff. He's, like, the bard. Yeah. You know? But, like, but he's, I guess, our tank.
Yeah. But he's also learning something to be... like to actually do damage.
Yes.
Like that's what that's what Blackflame is straight up. It's damage. It's DPS, you know?
Yep, it's like the path of the glass cannon.
Yeah.
But Yaren is just like straight
DPS. Yeah.
And then we need like a healer. So it's like we've got 2 DPS and a healer. Yeah. Or at least, you know, a DPS in training.
Yep.
While also kind of being our tank because of the Bloodforged Iron Body, at least right now.
What's Ethan in our party?
I mean, I guess Ethan is more our support caster.
Yeah.
He's a support class. He can see everything, but he doesn't have a lot of like straight up combat potential. So he's our support. You know, we got 2 support casters. different flavors.
Yeah.
And then 2 DPS of different flavors.
Right.
We are lacking a dedicated tank. Yep. But I guess that's just Orthos.
Yeah. Yep, actually.
Once Orthos is, like, a part of the crew, assuming, you know?
I would say he is. Like, he has a bond with,
right,
with
it's just,
Linden.
like, you know, because, like, how far, like, can you be from Orthos and still have that bond? Is it just, like, infinite, or does he have to be close by at all?
They haven't said anything, but, like...
Yeah, so it's
just
like...
said bonded a sacred beast.
Yep, so I'm like, if he ends up, you know, sort of, like, being physically, like, present with us as the journey goes on, and, like, sort of traveling with us and whatnot, I guess he would sort of be our tank, considering he's a big fucking turtle. But also, he can breathe fucking fire and shit, so, you know, everyone's kind of DPS.
You gotta be able to do some damage.
You gotta be able to do some damage. And I mean, like, you know, a lot of times tanks are also, like, damage dealers in a lot of ways, you know? But, yeah. We're working on our party comp.
Yep, basically.
Yeah. You know, actually, you know what? Of course. He's our rogue. He's tricksy, but can also deal just, like, a bunch of damage in a big burst.
Yeah.
Because, like, rogue sneak attack damage, he can do big damage and big burst damage, and is, like, tricksy and sneaky and kind of fragile because of his, like, dependence on Madra to actually be tanky. So he's, like, kind of, like, sort of a technical class.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
While Yaren's more just, like, straightforward DPS.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, and so is that kind of it for 14?
Yeah.
Yeah. We're just sort of, like, getting... I'm so happy that, like, we have, like, a little blue.
Yes, yeah.
And little blue's, like, kind of afraid of Yaren.
That was something I forgot to mention when I was just about to... Yeah.
And Yaren's, like...
Yeah.
And Yaren's, like, maybe it's because of my unwelcome guest.
Yeah.
But also it's, like, I think Yaren's also partially just because of how you are.
Yeah. She's, like, she waved, like, outside of the case or whatever, but, like, before, and she's, like, you know.
Yeah.
But she's like, well, if she's scared of the uninvited guest, well, she's got a good, like,
you know, instinct or
whatever.
Yeah,
good instinct, so, you know.
Yeah. But yep, and I'm just like, I can't wait for Little Blue to become Big Blue.
Yeah.
I'm expecting Little Blue to become, like, fully, like, a person at some point. But we'll see.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you know, it's becoming a little person.
It is.
So it's like, I'm waiting for Little Blue to be, like, fully like, hello.
Yeah.
I am Little Blue.
I'm Little Blue.
Here's some healing.
Yeah.
Yaren, you're scary. Also, your belt is scary, but you're also scary.
She was very sweet to Little Blue.
Yeah. So, yeah.
And she also needed to, like, have her, like, Madra cleansed as well.
Yeah.
Because she's cycling in a place with a lot of Blackflame.
Right,
like,
she's
cycling Sword Aura, but it's just kind of like...
You just, like,
so
get,
much
like, residual
around.
black flame, and that, like, eats away at you as well.
Yeah.
You're fucking getting just, like, a little bit of, like... Yeah, fucking... You're in a Dark Souls poison swamp over here doing training.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah, we can probably go to 15.
Alrighty. Chapter 15, the last chapter for this episode.
Yeah. So we're back with Kathy.
Okay, we're back with Kathy.
We're back with Kathy.
Kathyeth. Oh boy.
Yeah.
I can just see Ethan calling Cassius Kathy.
Yeah.
Hey Kathy.
Hey, Kathy.
But yeah, so
only
we're back.
if it annoyed him.
Yeah, we're back with Kathy.
Yeah.
And Kathy's thinking about the trial and them
like
getting through it.
He's like 4 months. It's supposed to take like 2 weeks, but they're normally like 5 like low golds or whatever, like cooperating. So like so just 2 of them, with 1 being Jade, 1 being like low gold. Like that's actually pretty
it's
impressive.
Like, it's like the fact that they can do it at all is impressive, you know.
And it's also like also the Blackflame member wasn't supposed to fight in general. They're just supposed to keep the Enforcer technique up for the crystal. They're not supposed to fight. Yeah.
They're not supposed to fight, and everyone's supposed to protect them. That's where you get the sort of like explanation on the dragon advances.
Yeah, and so it's no one ever thought to make it a rule you couldn't challenge the Enforcer trial twice in one day. It was a rare 5-man squad that could compete once a day. The dragon advances was the advice for anyone attempting the trial. They had to act so the dragon, the Blackflame, continually advanced. Lyndon and Yaren had interpreted that advice differently. They relentlessly advanced until the trial broke before them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so instead of Cassius getting them to give up, they got the course to give up.
Right. Yeah.
Which is fun.
That is fun. A fun little twist on it.
Yeah. And so he also thinks, like, about Yaren. He's like, Yaren was a sage's disciple, so she could be expected to produce miracles. But Lyndon?
Right. Yeah. Yep. Lyndon is always underestimated.
Yep. And she's just, like, kind of expected.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because she's,
to
like,
amazing.
you know...
Yeah. Yep. Which,
disciple of
the Sword Sage. I want more. I want more info on Yaren and the Sword Sage and whatnot.
Yeah. And so then Cassius also has a funny little thing, whereas he was not looking forward to bringing Aethan the news. The Underlord would be insufferable after this.
Yep. That sounds about right.
So then after that, we go back to Lyndon and Yaren, and they're happy that they finished the trial and everything, and they're like, Lyndon's like, I'm gonna walk around that empty, like, trial thing, like, just, like, spend an hour walking around just because I can, because, like, stupid room, you know.
Yep. Yep, they'd be like, fuck you.
Yeah, and, Yaren is, like, describing her, like, fight or whatever, and she's, like, super excited.
Mm-hmm.
I love just, like, it's just this whole, like, little rant that she does. Had to scrape and claw my way out. Towards the tail end, I had my master sword in one hand, a soldier sword in this one, my gold sign, launching every technique, and she's just so, like, excited and into it. Like,
yep, she's just like, hell yeah, I fucking did that shit, you know?
Yeah, it's just like, if that's not a story worth crowing about, I've never heard one. She's just, like...
so excited, so happy to, like, have done it.
Yeah, and, it's sweet.
Mm-hmm.
So they talk a little bit, and then Lyndon's like, yeah, we won, but also I'm supposed to fight a duel with someone that I can't, like, this isn't enough.
Yeah.
Like, in, like, 7 months or whatever, you know. And so it kind of brings the mood down a little bit, and they're like...
Yeah, because I was just thinking, like, they spent 4 months here, so, like, how much longer until their duel with Jai Long? Their duel, his duel.
Yeah, it's about 7 months.
About 7 months, yeah.
And Lyndon's like, what am I doing? Like, like, I don't, like...
Yeah, it just still feels, like, so, like, far away.
And it's like, back home, they'd have named me heir to the clan by now. Jade before 17 summers. They'd call me a genius or blessed by the heavens. But that's not enough to keep me alive.
So this is, like, a little thing, him saying, like, blessed by the heavens and whatnot. And he always talks like, oh, the heavens, like, opened up and, like, you know, showed me this sort of thing. But we don't get a ton of, like, talk of, like, the heavens and stuff from, like, other people.
Yeah.
Like, what's religion like in this world?
Right.
What kind of religion do they practice out here in, like, the Blackflame Empire and stuff? Yeah. Do they have one? Do they do, like, ancestor worship? Do they have, like, gods that they worship? If so, what are they?
There hasn't been any, like, organized type of thing that we've
any sort of, like, organized religion at all. Right. And I'm like, that's kind of just, like, interesting.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just, like, you know, because the thing is that they have this concept of, like, the heavens and whatnot. Right. But what
does that mean?
What does that mean? What is your, you know, cosmology like?
Right.
You know, what do you believe about the heavens, and, like, you know, is there just sort of, like, is it how vague, how specific, you know? Gods, angels, demons, what exists in your mythology, you know? Because it's like, oh, dragons are, like, mythical to the Sacred Valley, but dragons just, like, existed to the wider world. But
maybe presumably exist, because Lyndon saw one in...
Right, like, in the ocean or whatever. Right. So it's like, what things do you guys, like, mythologize about? Right. And, like, you know, because there's stuff like, oh, you know, it said that, like, you know, the founder of our clan or whatever, the original one, that he could, you know, watch us after the grave or whatever. It's like, what other kinds of, like, little almost myths and legends and stuff do y'all, like, have? And do you worship your sort of, like, mythical clan founder, or is it just like, he was a guy?
Yeah.
You know, that's just sort of the kind of stuff that I'm, like, curious about, because he keeps bringing up, like, the heavens and whatnot. So I'm like, what does that mean to you? What do the heavens mean to you?
Yeah.
But yes, that's all.
We're
Yeah, he was talking about
their conversation.
Yeah, where we was like talking about like, you know, back home this would be a lot, but this isn't enough to like fight Jailong and whatnot.
Yeah, and Yaren's just like, well, I mean, Ethan got you into this, so like he's got to help pull you out, you know.
Right. Yeah.
And all of that, and like, and also like I'll be here too for you, like, like I'm here too for all that's worth. Don't want to see you buried yet.
Right.
And like holds his hand for a little bit, and he's like, "Oh damn."
He's like, "Oh shit, physical contact."
Exactly. Yeah.
The alarm goes off, and Ethan shows up, and it's like, "No touching."
I mean, he does show up literally right after. Like they sit there and just like kind of like chill for a while.
We're having a nice little moment, and then Ethan's like,
and then did they hear a scream? And Ethan lands on the ground in front of them.
Right, yes, Ethan just like falls from the sky. I forgot about that. Falls from the sky. He just...
It's funny because earlier in this chapter you hear like they mention like some pebbles falling from like the cliff. So I'm assuming it's Ethan making his way down.
That's funny. I hadn't like paid attention to that.
They don't really like
draw much attention to it.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, like this, like I think it's like it's starting to rain and there's like a few pebbles like coming down or whatever. That's all. And then a little bit later, splat.
Yeah, I totally forgot that like he just like fucking falls from the sky.
Yep.
Cause it's like, oh, it's like he was, but like in my head it was just like fucking clear blue sky. He just like, it's like what were you doing up there? How did you? It was like, oh right, yeah, like the mountains and stuff. So like of course that's how.
He was trying to come down and like. Surprise them, I think.
Yeah.
It's just like that was more of a let's say rapid descent than I intended.
Yes.
The top of the cliff loomed over them. He had to have fallen over 100 feet, if not more. Underlord, are you all right?
Yeah, I'm fine. Don't worry about
Yaren's not worried at all about him. Takes more than that to ruffle your feathers, doesn't it? And he's like, I'm not sure. My ribs are sore. And yeah, and then I also love, it's a pleasure to see you after all this time. Are you here because we passed the trial? You mean, why did I fall out of the sky and onto my face just now? I love that, like, Ethan and Lyndon together are so fun because Ethan, he can do the politeness, but it's not his favorite. He prefers to just cut around it. Yeah. And Lyndon loves the, like, you know, he always uses that politeness. So he tries to use it on Ethan, and Ethan just like, nah, fuck you. Yeah. It's so good. It doesn't quite work on him.
Enough of that.
Yeah.
See, you try and trap people, but it'd be rude to not do the thing that I want. And so
and I
don't
like, care if it's rude.
I don't care if it's rude. I'm so much stronger than you. Get fucked.
Yep.
Get fucked, in parentheses, affectionate.
Exactly.
In parentheses, don't fuck in the canyon, you two.
I also love, a wise question. I've been keeping an eye on you as promised, and now that you've cleared the enforcer trial, none too soon I might add, I decided I'd pay you a visit. And as I was making my way to you, I slipped. I don't make a habit of it, but it was a steep descent. Even I make mistakes from time to time. Anyway, I was waiting for the most appropriate time to make my entrance, and well, it was raining.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then after that, he just kind of, he basically gives them a goal. Yaren, I have this special, like pill for you, basically, that's being made that will get you to,
gold without you having to, assimilate your Master's Remnant.
And she's like, what? Like, so, like, shocked, but it's still being made. And then Lyndon also has, something that he has also being made.
Right,
yeah. Blackflame True Gold Scales. Yeah, so
scales but made from Blackflame.
Yeah, made by a True Gold.
Made by a True Gold. Gotcha.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, True Gold Blackflame scales.
Right. Yeah, because it's like, he made his, like, Underlord fucking scale earlier, and I'm like, but because I think...
What was it?
Yeah, because it's like, if the Aurelius Seeing Far thing is like a bloodline thing and not a path thing, what's their path? What Madra are they using? What type of Madra did he give to Little Blue?
Yep.
Questions.
And so it'll save him a lot of time to cycle, but he will need like time to process it after he gets it. So basically, he's like, I will hold it as a reward for completing the third trial. With the aid of the scales, you could reach the peak of Jade in an instant, and then Orthos could take you to gold. Low gold fighting against true gold. He's like, it could happen, but, you know.
Yeah, but don't bet on it.
Yeah. And then he goes, if you can,
you just gotta level the playing field enough so that the tricks can work.
Yep, exactly. If you can complete the 2 remaining trials in 6 weeks. God. If you can complete the 2 remaining trials in 6 weeks each, much faster than this one, you'll have plenty of time to process those skills. So now that you're properly motivated, fight.
Fight.
Yep. And so, so they have their, like, goal for the next, like, 6 weeks is, like, finish these 2 trials, and then Ethan will give them these prizes.
Yeah.
Basically. And then they start looking at the second trial. It's the Dragon Destroys. And it is their striker technique.
Gotcha, yeah.
Fierce,
time to start shooting fire.
Yep. Fierce river of fierce flowing breath. And Euron's like, it's dragon's breath.
It's dragon's breath.
look at the cycling thing. It's dragon's breath.
Yep, you're gonna be breathing fire. You're gonna be fucking Uncle Iroh.
Yep. Maybe they called it fiercely fierce breath, but everyone knows what comes out of a dragon's mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so then she's basically like, oh, it's like just a basic striker technique. She's like it's basically the same as like she does it with sword aura or like the Madra or whatever.
Yeah.
And like kind of just like puts it together or whatever. And he's like, did you just like do that for the first time? And she's like, yeah, but this is not like a winner for me. Like I can do more damage. Like I can do better with my sword.
Right.
But like is trying to show him how to do it with Blackflame.
Sort of the basics of it. Yeah.
Because it's like a pretty simple.
Yep, just kind of, take it and shoot it out.
Yeah. You basically like let it build in between his hands and then like shoot it out.
Yep. And it's boy oh boy is he shooting fire.
Yeah, and so it keeps exploding, and so he keeps exploding himself a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit of exploding yourself.
Yeah, and so he can't get it to go very far, and like then they go to like look at the second trial, and there's these targets far away, so it looks like he's gonna have to hit those targets. And in this room, when you move, stuff starts launching at you, and so like you gotta hit those targets and dodge all of the stuff that's coming at you whenever it's like motion activated. Yeah,
so you got to be able to like not just stand there and shooting gallery, you got to be able to like move and hit your target at the same time, which makes sense.
Yes.
It's like, firing arrows on horseback.
Yeah.
It's like you got to be able to do both.
Yep.
You got to be able to fire at something while moving, or else it's not going to be very useful to you in the heat of battle.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's basically.
And that's basically it?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, the thing about, like, the fierce flowing river of fierce burning or whatever, it just kind of makes me think of, in Japanese, you'll see, like, this one kanji, it's like, so, oki, O-O-K-I, or it's like this one kanji, and then the katakana or hiragana for ki. Oki means, like, big.
Yeah.
And so you'll see, like, o, but often it's pronounced dai, or tai. To be like,
that's wild. I don't like that.
Oh yeah, it's just how it works.
Oh or tie. Excuse me. No.
Yeah. It's like or die because it's like oki means big, and so then other things that like also have like a connotation of big. The kanji for big gets used, but it gets pronounced die because in Japanese the word die means big, but then like the just the adjective itself is like a different thing, but and so it's like. But they just like are using Chinese. Big. So it's like you'll get a lot of things where it's like die whatever, die, like there's and you'll get things that are like die whatever, like and because it's like shogi is like the like Japanese chess, but then there's like dai shogi, which is like a bigger board with more pieces, and then like dai shogi, and like they're just like essentially like art pieces. Like they just like made them back in the day, and there's like rules for these different pieces, but like no one plays this game. Oh, here's the piece that can like move as far as you want, and it can jump over other pieces, like how like a knight can jump over other pieces even if they're in the way, and also every piece that it jumps over it captures, whether it's yours or your opponent's. And I'm like, that's busted. That's busted. That's not, you can't,
you can't do that.
You can't do that. You know? And so it's just like this like suffix that gets like applied to things. So it's like fierce river, fierce this thing, and it's like, well, yeah, that's like the literal reading, which is probably like pronounced differently, and like, you know, it's just a suffix that means, or like a prefix maybe. Right. It's an affix probably that like means just like, you know, it's a modifying the word. So it's like, you know. But yeah.
Affix is the term for...
an affix is the sort of like neutral term, like a prefix or suffix.
Got you.
So like a prefix and a suffix are both types of affixes.
Got you. I don't think I've heard just like affix outside of like suffix or... Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then there's also circumfixes, which is when it's
on
like,
either side?
When it's on like both sides at the same time. So like the only sort of good...
like circle.
Yeah, well, it's like, circumfix, so it's like it's kind of like circle, like around. Also like circumcise. Like cutting around, you know? Like you excise something.
Yeah.
If you like excise something, and so you circumcise,
it's
like
cut around,
and a circumfix in English, like we have like long, and then we have elongate. There's no such thing. There's no elong, and there's no longate. It's elongate. Yes. So that's like a circumfix, and it's one of the few that you can really say that English has.
Got you.
And then there's an infix. Infixes,
which would be in the middle?
Yes, where you like put it in the middle. And the only example in English is expletive infixing. Yes. Abso-fucking-lutely.
Yes.
Yeah, the only example in English is like...
is swearing, yeah.
Yes, and you know, you can do like a lighter swear for like when you're trying to give it in a more academic context or whatever, but it's like...
Well, heckin'.
Yep, abso-fucking-lutely, you know, that's the only... And like other languages, they will just like do that for like grammatical things.
Okay.
Now you could... It's like it's technically different from like how like in English we have like... ran and run.
Yeah.
Where like you are changing the middle bit, but it's not that you're putting a new middle bit in. You're taking the existing middle bit and like changing it out. And so like, you know how we're like ran and run?
Yeah.
Imagine, if you will, a word longer than that, where you just changed all the vowels in the middle of the consonants. Like if like running, it was like you instead of ran, it's like you have running, and then the past tense would be like ranung, you know, that's how Arabic works.
Got you.
Where it's like that idea of like, oh, you change the middle like vowel, like the vowel in the middle of the word in order to like get the new like tense of the word, and how would you like run and ran, swim and swam. They do that just on like a more extreme scale.
Got you. Okay.
Yeah, so it's like your root will just be a set of consonants, and then depending on what vowels and other like suffixes you put on there determines what the word is.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty neat and hard to kind of wrap your head around as an English speaker.
Right.
And I'm just like, I tried to make a language that did something like that once, and it was like fun and interesting, but also like a wild time. Yeah, because it's like... the way to do it naturally, like you have to kind of like evolve it over time, or you can just be like, just make up some consonant roots and then put some vowels in there, and you'll get, you know, something that like approximates it, but it won't be like as good as if you just evolved it, you know, yourself. But that's just kind of how conlanging goes.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's just like, again, more fun linguistics talk with Smeevca.
I love it.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's the chapters.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else?
I don't think from...
Yeah, we're just getting ready for the next trials.
Yeah,
Yep. And we got to get through them quick to get the prizes.
Yeah.
Yep. Alrighty. So, what have we been reading?
I've been watching more One Piece reactions, which is not reading.
Yep. Yeah, we read the next chapter of One Piece.
Yes, we did.
And we apparently have, like, break next week, even though it didn't say it.
I still haven't checked, like, with some people that, like, normally have that good information on Twitter.
Because it's like, I've been hearing break next week, but it didn't say it at the end of the chapter, which it normally does, but it's been just, like, another, like, fucking insane chapter, you know? Yeah, and, new Endicott video came out, and we watched it.
That's so sad. They censored
Bonnie giving the finger.
Yeah,
that's hilarious. But yeah, anyway,
sorry.
Yeah, a new Endicott video came out, and we watched that and listened to more at Magnus the other night.
It was good.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah. And what else?
I love all the theories and
the theorizing, because it's like, I know that they occasionally watch these, so we won't say anything in particular, but like it's the theories.
Yeah, it's so fun.
It's always fun because like the same thing happens when we're like watching like Nerdy or Alicia, where you get a theory and you go like, gee, I wonder.
Yep.
Because like,
Nerdy's been I'm so excited for his reaction to Marineford. Like,
yes, because spoilers for One Piece, he's like, Whitebeard is so dead.
Yeah.
Whitebeard is so telegraphed to be dead. He's so obviously dead. He's gonna die, and it's gonna be a big thing.
Yep.
And so whenever they save Ace,
he's like Ace is gonna teach Luffy this and like teach him hockey or whatever. And it's so
like,
good. It's like,
we're definitely gonna save Ace and Impel Down.
And Impel Down, and then Marineford is next arc. So we're gonna with Ace do something in Marineford.
And then Whitebeard's gonna die, and it's like, yep, Ace is definitely gonna be there with us when that happens.
He's like, Whitebeard is the most dead character I've ever seen. Like he's like going on about it.
And it's just like, you're so right, my dude. And it's so great because you don't even see the other dead guy in the room. It's great. It's so good. But yeah, and I think that's
Yeah, I think that's mainly it. I don't think I've really been listening to anything.
Yeah, I keep meaning to like listen to some things and then not doing it.
I have a friend Jesse's starting Way of Kings, I think, like this next week. She got 20 minutes in, which this is a common thing with Way of Kings. You read prologue 1 and then you get to prologue 2 and you're like, what is this?
Yeah.
It's a bit much.
Prologue, and then you get the prologue. Wow. Prologue. Like, what?
It's prelude and then prologue and then chapter 1 and then you don't get to the character until chapter 2. It sounds like a long intro.
Right, because he was like, in chapter 1 it's just secretly another prologue.
Exactly. And like it's great, but she's like, I immediately knew I was like not quite in the mood, and like because it's the prologue is very like prologue of Wheel of Time, or the prelude, sorry, is very like the prologue of
Wheel of Time, where it's just like you can't follow what the fuck's going on.
It's like it's the type of one that you come back after every book and you reread it and you're like, oh, okay, you know
like
what's
I
going
understand,
on.
like,
It's
more.
so fun. It's a great opening,
right?
But there's a certain amount of people that bounce off the first time and have to come back to it, or fully just bounce off because it's
Yeah, and that makes sense. Yeah, because he's talked about like, I can only do that because I've built up trust as an author, that like I have these other books that are well regarded and that people like have read and enjoyed, and so I can like be a little bit more like hard to get into this one and be like, people will give me the benefit of the doubt. And so it's like, starting that way as like your first thing, not necessarily recommended if you want people to actually like read your book.
Right.
Yeah, which is interesting.
Yeah. So I was listening to the beginning of Way of Kings the other day. Because she was talking about it. So I was just like,
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's about it. Yeah. So this has been Let's Talk About Book.
Yeah.
And now you can go forth and think about book on your own time. Have a lovely whatever time it is.
Have a lovely, lovely day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.